You are watching us here in the Nismo bunker, getting ready for the series finale from Motegi. I'm Sam Collins, and I'm joined in the booth here by Rob Barth. Hello, Rob.
Morning, Sam.
It is going to be a very good day of racing, but without any further ado, let's just take a quick look at what happened in qualifying, because we're going to be talking a lot about this. So the sun was shining at Motegi Circuit, Honda's own track. Ronnie Quintarelli and Sugo Matsuda signed some autographs, as did Chio and Jan Mardenborough. Someone got a cake. Of course, it is that man's cake. It's the blue team cake they want to see. Are they going to get the first Nismo win of 2017? First up, qualifying though, the GT500 cars lined up for the first qualifying session, but interrupting those cars with some DTMs. Randomly, and the, the GT500s came back on track for qualifying, riding on board here with Ronnie Sugo Matsuda actually at the wheel of that car, and it was a hotly contested session, but one where the lap times were way quicker than anybody expected. Satoshi Motoyama, yet there in the S-Road Mola GTR, sent a warning flag that the Michelin tyres were working particularly well here at Motegi. Of course, it's a tyre war championship, and the Michelin engineers started to wonder why the Lexus cars were so slow. But then at number 23 went out and set a stunning lap time in Q2, and as you'll see him cross the line there with a 1 minute 36.31, a new lap record at Motegi. And that's 2 seconds a lap quicker than a Dallara IndyCar around this course a few years ago in 2011.
You heard that right, folks. 2 seconds quicker. 2 seconds quicker. A stunning lap there by the number 23 in qualifying.
I mean, that's just, when you start thinking about the pace of these cars, 2 seconds a lap quicker than an IndyCar. And actually, Ronnie there was almost a second quicker than any other car on track today, or yesterday's qualifying session. So huge pole position, new lap record, an absolutely staggering result. And we get to see that lap in full any moment, and we'll talk you around this circuit at Twingring Motegi with the lovely corner names that Rob's managed to download.
Ah, yes.
They are very inspirational corner names. The first corner is called Turn 1.
Followed, you'll never guess, Sam, by Turn 2.
And then comes
3 and 4.
Followed by
5.
Which is 130R.
And then we've got, that's 6.
Oh, that's 6. I'm sorry, that's turn 6. Well, let's have a look at that onboard video with Ronnie Quintarelli, and you'll see from that onboard position where you've got the onboard cameras mounted on the roll cage of the car, looking back, it's a little car punch up in the back of the motor. As Ronnie starts this lap, except that's not the start of the lap, it's part way round, so he'll be coming round there under the bridge. We've not got the full laps in here, but we'll play the full lap as we go round. But just look at the speed he catches up with that car in front.
So here we come past the pits, coming out of turn 14 and across the start finish line, coming down into turns 1 and 2. So yeah, that was the end of the lap there. So yes, only seeing the latter half of the lap there, but a delighted Ronnie Quintarelli.
Yeah, I mean, he must have got the radio message in there. Look at the way the steering wheel folds up for help them get out of the car. So it's something that's unique to Super GT cars. The whole steering column lifts up. He's not taking the steering wheel off. The steering column just folds away and he climbs out of the car there. You can see the rear view camera, the cockpit controls. Really quite a nice look at the inside of one of these GT500 cars, and he just taps the nose of the car. We'll get a full video of that onboard lap up on Nismo TV. Oh, now here we go for the onboard lap from the start. Sorry about that. The video starts. So, Rob, off you go.
So, passing underneath the green banner there to start his lap. Turns 1 and 2 really flowing into 1. Down a relatively short back straight behind the pits and paddock here, coming down into another double left here into 3, and then immediately into turn 4. A little bit of oversteer in the car then. Now turn 5, an increasing radius right-hander here, difficult on the approach, coming downhill quite steeply, very, very late on the brakes, trail braking all the way into the inside of that hairpin underneath the underpass. So now through 130R and then into S-curve, a fantastic sequence of corners here. First a medium banked left, now into a medium banked right, now into another tricky hairpin. This is turn 9, the V corner coming Again, in on the brakes, beautifully accurate on the way, very early on the power on the way out. Short squirt now up to turn 10. Turn 10, the tightest corner on the circuit, inspirationally named Hairpin Corner.
It's a hairpin.
Amazing view for the spectators on the bank, and now into the downhill straight. Coming down towards, over the crest down in towards turn 11, 90-degree right-hander here, and then a tight technical section to finish. Turns 12, 13 and 14 all quite close together. So underneath for turn 12, coming into 13, and then the final right-hander here, turn 14, victory corner. And it certainly was victory for Ronnie Quintarelli as he comes, and he was very lucky, Sam, wasn't he? Almost caught that car ahead, but what a lap.
He actually maybe got a bit of an advantage just on the end of it, getting a bit of a toe, but punching the air, fantastic as it gets the radio message. And just have a look for that steering column as it detaches now, as Ronnie will just lift it up and get out of the car. Oh, you just missed that little bit of movement. They cut that bit out. That's a shame. But it's a really interesting thing when you look at it. I'll probably post some pictures of that online later on. But when we talk about those lap times, we did get a bit of BMW DTM action on track, just very briefly when we first played that VT. The DTM cars are in Motegi. Each of the manufacturers has sent a car. They have been on track with the Super GT cars. And the lap times the DTM cars haven't been published. So the lap times they set haven't been published. However, our man at the track has been telling me the fastest lap they saw a DTM car do was a 1 minute 44. Now that would be quicker than all of the GT300 cars and slower than all of the GT500 cars. But put that into context. The pole position lap we just saw was a 1 minute 37. Plays a 1 minute 44. I mean, that's the difference of speed between Super GT and DTM. So we are looking towards a merger that may happen. But my word, do the Germans have a lot of work to do?
They certainly do have a lot of work to do. But remember, this is the first time that all the manufacturers have run together. And what a spectacle for the fans in Japan to see the BMW teams, to see the Mercedes. Oh, it's just the Audi over there, you know. It's just an aligning of the cosmic tumblers, Sam. It's going to be great.
And speaking of the Audis, one of the Audi R8s, not one of the DTM cars, of course, they don't run the R8 in DTM. One of the GT3 spec R8s, the Hitsunomiya car, has had a bit of a shunt in warm-up this morning. We don't know the condition of that car quite yet. It hit the Golf Porsche of John O'Lester. Now, the Golf Porsche is looking a bit used and abused, but it's out and is on the grid and going to be making the start. The R8, we're not sure. So it's the Team Taisan R8, actually, I've been told.
Okay.
The Team Taisan car is the one that is in trouble. So we'll see if that's on the starting grid in a little while. So a little bit of an update. And also the Vivac 86 mother chassis car. Lots of attention on the engine there.
I drove for Hugh Chamberlain once, and Hugh, as a young driver, taught me that nothing good ever happens in warm-up.
Young driver, there were some looks around the room.
Oh, it was a long time ago.
Did you have to have a riding mechanic or a man with a red flag in front?
Cheeky monkey, yeah, I did. But nothing good ever happens in warm-up, and having an issue on the day of race day is never good, never good.
And race morning, just for warm-up, there is a great video on Twitter for you to all watch after the race, which is coming up in a minute, of the cars leaving the pit lane at the start of the warm-up with a fighter jet leading them out of the pit lane, which is just incredible. So have a look on Twitter. I've already tweeted that. My Twitter handle is @NorthHeartsSam, HERTS is Hearts.
Because I'm an old man, I'm not on Twitter.
And Rob Bath is not on Twitter. You'll have to use smoke signals or something, or parchment.
Parchment.
Hello to everybody on the live chat on YouTube. We are reading your comments and we are tuned into it also. Fire your questions to us, say hello and feed us rude comments. We are tuned in and tell us all the mistakes we make. RJ O'Connell's there and he will be giving us great updates throughout the race from Super GT World. What wonderful website that. So we're tuned in for that, and we will be going live to the track any moment now. Or just looking at the time, in about a minute's time we'll have the starting grid for you and a little bit more update from trackside. Now, one thing I can tell you, which is a little bit interrupting our feed from through the paddock, is that the internet at Motegi isn't very good, which means a lot of the teams are struggling to feed us the information that we normally get on tyres and starting. We've got starting drivers, but we normally get lots of detail about who's doing what on what car, and none of that's coming through at the moment, but we will have that through the race, hopefully. But there's so many fans at Motegi, which is a difficult place to get to.
It is, and a tight technical track. To be honest, I'm surprised that the GT300 qualifying was dominated by the FIA GT3 cars. So we're going to have a fascinating battle in both classes today.
And there you go, the Motegi GT Grand Final coming up to you on the starting grid. There is the starting grid, and those umbrellas are because it's warm and sunny. Those cars are on the old banking in the background. It's now a car park. Never used for racing since an earthquake damaged the structure deep down. But look on the starting grid. What's that on pole position? That is not the pole-sitting car, Rob. Well, the pole-sitting car is the Motul Ortec GTR driven by Ronnie Quintarelli with that record-setting pace. The Wacos LC500 Lexus is in second. Behind them is another Lexus Nick Cassidy starting the Keeper Tom's car. Championship leaders there. Could they win it today? The S-Road Mola GTR in fourth position. The Forum Engineering JP Oliveira's GTR is in fifth. The Raybrick NSX first of the Hondas. Izawa driving that in sixth position. Seventh is James Rossiter in the Tom's AU Lexus, and he's always one to watch. Kagure-san is in the Keihin NSX, followed by the Zentsurumo LC500 and the Calsonic Blue car, with Jan Mardenborough taking the start on his favourite Super GT track. Kohei Hirate leads the race, starts the race in the number 11 Denso-sponsored LC500 Lexus, and the Arta NSX alongside him, with Najiri starting that. Hideki Muto in the Motul Mugen NSX GT, number 16. Will Jensen Button be in that car next year? Who knows? Bertrand Baguette in the Epson Modulo NSX GT in 14th place, and rounding out the GT500 field is the Wed Sport at Lexus. On pole, as you said, in GT300, though, it is a set of GT3 cars. The Good Smile Mercedes is on the right-hand side of the grid on pole position. Then on the left-hand side of the grid, it's the Arta BMW. Then the Leon AMG, followed by the Vivac 86. Engine problems for that, possibly, we're hearing, but we don't know. Bjorn Verdheim starts in fifth position, his best start position of this season, I think, in the Gainer Tanax GT3. Then the D-Station Porsche, Müller there, in the starting driver role. The Up Garage 86 with Kawabata starting that. Then the LM Corsa RCF Lexus in 8th position. Alongside him is that damaged Golf Porsche. Then the Manipa Lamborghini. Max Orido at the wheel of that very popular driver. The Teddy Bear BMW in 11th position. Sergei Ara starts that. And then the Max Iacon GT86, the GT-Net car, is in 12th position. The Subaru BRZ in 13th, and alongside him the Lotus, showing quite well this season. Quite well for this race. Let's see how well it gets on in the race. The LM Corsa, the other LM Corsa RCF GT3 car is there in 15th. Alongside that is the Nissan GTR of Takaboshi starting that one. The AMG GT of Ava RT Test 01 in 17th. 18th is a Shopping Channel Lamborghini. Then the first of Toyota Priuses. Terrible at qualifying for them. 19th position. The Taisan Sard R8 for Kashima with Parsons at the wheel in 20th. Then the Gainer Tanax GTR in 21st. The Bentley Yuji Ide, yes, him of Super Guri fame, is in 22nd. And 23rd position is the number 30 Toyota Prius. Alongside that is the Saitama Toyopet Green Brave Mark X mother chassis car. Not pretty, not all that effective either. The number in 25th position is the Sol Ferrari 488 in the race, alongside the run-up GTR in 26th. Then the Shoku Muju.jp GTR in 27th position. Then the 28th position, it's the Thai 86, make its best qualifying of all. Not last. 29th is the AMG, and then that was one of the Mercedes on the back of the grid, I think. But here we are looking. Now, I saw the starting grid briefly, and I saw something special. We'll see if it's going to happen. But 15 degrees ambient air temperature, quite chilly out there in the mountains north of Tokyo. Track temperature is only 22 degrees, and the humidity's 20%.
It's going to be interesting to see whose tyres suit this relatively cold, crisp, clear autumnal morning. So
we're getting a little message about something, but I'm not quite sure. I think what we're going to get a bit of a shocker is who's sitting on pole position on the grid, because it's not the 23 Motul Ortec GTR. And we're going to see something, and it's meant to be the Motul Ortec GTR, but as you pan down, now have a look to see what is sitting at the front of the grid right there. That car is not red, that's orange. And that's not a Honda, a Nissan, or a Lexus. That's a BMW. The DTM cars are on the starting grid. How tempting would it be for one of those drivers? Augusta Farfus there looking like he's on pole position.
Well, everything we're seeing now, everything we're seeing here is possibly leading towards unification of DTM and Super GT. And Well, look, that would just be a spectacular series, wouldn't it?
Well, there you go. 5 minutes to start, says
5 people. Well, 4 people and a cartoon character.
Do you think they delete 1 person per minute? We haven't had the national anthem yet, which we normally would have had by now, so they're dragging it out. Honda NSX pace car, safety car there.
Yeah, nice jodhpurs from the lead member of the police display team.
Oh, yes, I think that's the first time the word jodhpurs has been used in any commentary for a motor race. And they're all lining up for the national anthem, which is starting. Well, there you go, the Japanese national anthem studiously observed around between Ring Motegi. But this race isn't just about who's going to win. There are championships at stake. And there you go. Look how tight those points are at the top. The number 23 Nissan GTR, Sugo Matsuda, played themselves into contention. There's a GT300 points table, and that's the number 4 Good Smile Racing car at the top of that. The championships will be decided today, and there are a baffling number of championship permutations, which we're not going to rattle through all of. But what I will say is Hirakawa and Cassidy will clinch the GT500 championship if they win the race or finish second, regardless of everybody else. And the Good Smile Racing Mercedes, the Hatsune Miku car, will win the title if it finishes first, second or third. So as long as they get on the podium, they are champions.
And they dominated qualifying, Simon, on the GT300 class. They were dominant and they start at the front. The pressure's on for them. And yeah, like you say, a podium position will see them crowned as champions.
For the Motul Ortec GTR to win the championship, it has to finish in the top 4. As does, in fact, the Yoshima Caldarelli Lexus has to finish in the top 4. But that is very much dependent on where other cars finish as well. So through the race, we'll keep you updated on how those permutations are playing out. James Rossiter also has a long shot at winning the championship as well. He has to win the race to win the championship in the Tom's AU Lexus LC500.
And the gloves are very much off. Remember, 250 kilometres is our race duration today, so an out-and-out sprint race. And in terms of success ballast, all the success ballast has been removed. That's a striking red jacket, isn't it?
It's orange. That's Mr. Orange Jacket. It's a full season orange jacket, and he's saying, well done everybody for making it through the season. Just more one race to go, and it's in Motegi. It's the grand final. Good luck. Thank you. And that is Mr. Orange Jacket. He works at Autobacks, which is they're like hyper Halfords. And if you don't know what a Halfords is, it's kind of like a mega napper. And if you don't know what a napper is, I really can't make any other explanation. But there you go. Look at the 3 DTM cars lined up across the grid. There she is. Only one girl left now. 1 minute to go before they roll out. Now, God, do you not want those DTM cars just to stick out and just have a couple of laps in the race, you know? It's got to be tempting.
So from left to right, as you look at the screen, folks, you've got the Mercedes, you've then got the Audi in the middle, and the M Sport badge gives away the BMW there as we look at the grid on the right-hand side. The police outriders doing their traditional job to lead the cars around before then I'm guessing the DTM cars will peel off and the safety car will lead them around for the green flag lap before the start.
It's quite rightly been pointed out to me, the orange car is, of course, the Mercedes. You can see that now. Augusta Farfus is in the white. and black BMW with the big M on the back. So there's a lot of white smoke coming out of that Mercedes on the start line, actually, now we talk about it. The normally aspirated 4-litre V8 engines in the DTM cars, the 2-litre turbocharged engines in the GT500 cars. They sound incredibly different, so hopefully on this lap we'll be able to hear the cars and they have the microphones in the right position once these cars get going. There you have it. You can hear these cars coming off the line. Now, I was wondering, was there a problem for the Mercedes? No, there he is. In formation there, the DTM cars. The Mercedes is definitely smoking, though, isn't it? That's a bit of an embarrassment for the Germans there if one of their cars conks out. And, well, is that the look of the future of this series? 6 manufacturers shooting out in GT500? I don't think it is. I think we're going to have some challenge races, however, because that's what everybody wants. But, oh, do you not want to see those 3 DTM cars just stay out for the opening stint at least? Just run the fuel out.
Or the oil in the case of the Mercedes.
Well, yeah, it does look like he's puffing smoke, doesn't it? It's now stopped smoking, which is usually when they blow up.
Nice attention to detail from the police outriders there. A cheeky change of formation, I noticed.
Yeah, that was it, to get through the tight corners. That was a very clever thing. Now, are the DTM cars going to get through without bumping into each other? The GT500 cars have all backed off. It's a shame they've backed off so far. Again, it's just... these German drivers are far too disciplined. I think if you had a European driver, they'd drop back and start weaving their tyres with the rest of the pack.
Oh, look, the guys in GT500 have got a job to do, and the ambient temperature is chilly today. The track temperature only in the early 20s, and they've got a lot of work to do to get the tyres warm. It's a relatively short lap. It's less than 3 miles in length, so they're working the tyres hard to get the required temperature and pressure needed for the start.
A few comments coming in. Would they call the series Super DTM? That's a good point. And someone just pointed out, would it be 5 manufacturers since Mercedes is leaving DTM? Well, rumours on the ground say it will still be 6. And it might even go as high as 7 or 8. There may be a Mercedes in Super GT sooner rather than later. There is a rumour that will not go away that Mercedes are coming to Super GT in 2019, but not as a works team. So we'll see how that plays out. But in addition, there are rumours of Alfa Romeo and Volvo joining the German series. So it's all to play for. There is some little tidbits of information coming out about the future, and it's all very speculative and it's all very rumour-y.
It is that time of year, though, isn't it?
It is the silly season, and with this particular type of racing, it's the silliest of silly season. Now, look, the Honda NSX pace car has peeled in. Look at that! Oh well, that's proper. They're going to stand on each other's shoulders in a minute or something, those police riders. But the DTM cars have got the official safety car behind them as the sirens wail from those outriders. And sadly, for now, that is it for the DTM cars in Japan. But I don't think that's the last we've seen of them. Well, apart from this bit where they come around another corner. But when they peel off into the pits, that will be the last we've seen of those DTM cars. But look at these police outriders. They've really practiced this, haven't they?
And yeah, I think we'll be seeing them peel to our left, their right shortly at the end of the pit straight, and then we can get the green flag lap underway for real.
Now, where are the police going to peel off? Because they've missed the pit in.
They've missed pit out.
Well, I don't know. We're getting an extra pace lap? Well, that's interesting. Let's try and think at Motegi, is there another way back into the pits? There's not really.
They may be able to peel in somewhere after turn 2 as the...
Oh, there is a small exit into the back of the paddock there, isn't there? Yeah. Well, there's the GT500 field. That is the real topic of conversation today, though we are expecting a great race in GT300 as well. This is Jan Mardenborough's favourite Super GT track. Of all the tracks we go to in Super GT, Jan Mardenborough picks this one as his favourite. I personally don't understand that.
No, it's a strange one because it's not a track that drivers conventionally love. It's dominated by relatively conventional corners in terms of just 90-degree corners and hairpin corners. There's not a huge elevation change here either. But no, Jan loves it and speaks highly of it, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on today. He's obviously the starting driver in his car, and I'm just very pleased we've got a lovely mixture of manufacturers at the front of the GT500 field, because I feared that it was going to be a Lexus dominated race as the fuel flow was released and the success ballast came off. I really thought that they would have the pace of the field, but I was blown away by the news of the Nissan's pace in qualifying. That was a breath of fresh air, and it set us up here for a fabulous season finale.
Well, a key point about GT500 is that the cars are, for most of the season, have a success ballast system with split between fuel flow limitations and success ballast itself. Here, the final race at Motegi, that's all deleted. There is no success ballast. The fuel flow is set to the maximum. All these cars are in the fastest trim they can possibly be, and everybody expects it to be a Lexus-dominated race. Why is it not? The Michelin tyre engineers, the Nissan engineers are all looking around going, well, why are the Lexus cars slow? Well, there's one that's particularly slow. It's sorry, no, it's not James Rossiter's car. It is Nick Cassidy there, putting a big gap there to the Wacos car. Yeah, just catching up,
allowing himself a bit of space so he can push hard to get some heat in the brakes. Heating up the brakes will heat up the rim and in turn put temperature and pressure into the tyre as well. So just leaving a gap. That's the front of the GT300 field, and Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes there.
And GT300 is the secondary class of Super GT, split between three distinctly separate types of car racing that field. The FI GT3 cars, which you're all familiar with by now. The carbon fibre monocoque V8 engined mother chassis cars, the Lotus, the Toyota 86s, and of course the Mark X, which is distinctive to say the least. And then there are the JAF GT300 cars, which are modified production cars for a pair of Toyota Priuses, Prii perhaps, both hybrids but slightly different, and they're powered by LMP1 engines, which is it's certainly an interesting car to see, and they're brilliant to look at. And then the Subaru BRZ, which is powered by a WRC derived flat 4 Boxer engine, which is also quite wonderful to see and hear. You'll see those coming up in the race, but we're coming towards the start of the race.
Here the cars come then through the final two turns, turn 13, turn 14. Coming onto the starting grid now. And the lights are on for the start, and now it's green and we are racing. You watch GT500 and I'll watch GT. Big problems though for the Wacos car, already damaged, and it's already happened. When did that happen? There's damage on the 23. The race leader has got big damage. They hit each other. I thought they touched through turn 13, but I was like, no, they can't have done. But they did as they came through 13 and 14. The first two cars on the grid as they formed up touched each other. Mardenborough down the inside there. He's moving up a place already.
Well, we haven't seen the GT300 start because there's such drama in GT500, but that's it. That's going to be the end of the championship. And well, for the number 23 car certainly. Well, here comes the GT300 start. They've big gap between them, and the less drama off the start line there as Hatsune Miku makes an easy run into the right-hander. As the rest of the field go around, do they all get through cleanly? They certainly do. The driving standards very high here in Super GT, but look at the cars moving around to try and block each other's position, and they're nearly wheel to wheel halfway through the field with those Mercedes and the GT3 cars all battling, and there is contact going into that hairpin. I didn't see who it was. I think it was the Leon car, or perhaps the Gainer car. No, it was the Gainer car of Bjorn Verdheim.
I'm watching the GT500 battle here on the left-hand side of the screen, and the rear diffuser on the 23, the red car there, is shedding carbon left, right and centre.
How are these two cars holding onto their positions with this much damage?
It could be a big piece of the rear crash structure came away as he came
You can hear it. You could hear it going into that corner there, Rob. You can hear him scraping along the track. That's obviously where our microphone's positioned.
So coming around to complete lap one, and what a first lap that was. The Nissan still seems to be pushing ahead at the start of the field, but yeah, contact before the start of the race, and the splitter on the Lexus touching there on the right front corner.
Well, let's have a look at this replay now. What happened? Turning in. Oh, and just... Well, I'm not...
So a big break from the 23 car.
Getting his tyres
now
warmed up.
Here, bang!
Oh!
Big contact there as they came in for the last corner.
Well, that's going to lead to some conversations, isn't it?
One thing that has happened, it looks like the carbon that was running on the Michelin tyre of the 23 race-leading Nissan has now come away, and we're not seeing any more tyre smoke from that car. So, you know, Sam, I think he might have got away with it. And with the championship being up for grabs, this is huge.
Well, let's remember that number 23 car needs to win the race. Or finish second to win the championship.
Just needs to win. He needs to win the race and then see how the other cars finish behind.
But what this is actually doing, the Wacos car with that deranged front end is now holding up the rest of the pack and giving the number 23 car a bit of clear air, which is exactly what he needs, because that car won't be at optimal speed as the Forum Engineering car comes into contact with James Rossiter, who has managed to get up the inside with his normal, very firm manner of driving.
Yeah, James Rossiter, a bold move there, coming down into turn 9 as the cars come down the downhill straight, coming into the final sector now. Underneath the old banking.
And more contact there between those two cars.
Running wide into the gravel.
And that nearly allowed the Zent Tsurumo car to get on the Forum Engineering case. I think it's JP Oliveira starting that car. But the car to watch for me right now, also on Michelin tyres, like the race leader at the moment, is Chio, who is running in 4th position, but all over the back of Cassidy's Red Bull car, and that's the championship leader.
Andrea Caldarelli, though, in 2nd in GT500, as you say, Sam, is really backing the field up. But the Hatsune Miku Good Smile car making a relatively clean escape at the front of GT300 now.
And remember, if this number 4 car wins the race or even just gets on the podium, they win the championship in at GT300. Long way to go yet. Driver changes, refueling, and plenty more drama. But in the first 3 laps, we've had some action, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I thought that I saw the 2 cars touch as they came through to take the start, but I thought, no, it just must be a little puff of tyre smoke. But yeah, Andrea Caldarelli there still holding up the field in GT500, and the likes of Rossiter won't be happy to be stuck there as we look. He's last in that little pack of 4 cars. He'll be looking to make a move on the S-Road Mola car before too long.
And remember, James Rossiter himself can win this championship, but James is not known for hanging around at the back of the field. He will be working his way through the field. He loves racing these cars more than any other car. I was having a good chat with him a couple of weeks ago, and he absolutely loves it being at the wheel of these. But look at the gap now falling out. Now, as Chio makes the move on the Red Bull car, doesn't make it stick this time. He's going to have to do something because Rossiter is right on the tail of him. Now, that Wacos car, the pit crew sort of looked like they were thinking about a pit stop, but he hasn't made the commitment yet.
And that's our championship leader there in the Red Bull liveried Lexus, the 2nd of those 2 cars. He's looking to make a move now on that hampered Wacos car. Yep, Nick Cassidy down the inside for P2. Is the Nissan going to follow him through? No, I thought he was for a moment.
I think there might be quite a bit of radio calls going on right now. The S-Road Mola car will be getting calls to say, whatever you do, get in front of the Keeper Tom's Lexus LC500. And all the other Lexuses are saying, let the Keeper Tom's LC500 go and stop anybody else from getting near it, because that's our championship leader. Let James Rossiter runs wide on the exit there. He's really hanging it out. He wants to win this title, and he's doing it the only way he knows how.
I don't want to be the first to bring up track limits today, but it's great to see an old school circuit with gravel and grass waiting to catch the drivers if they run too wide. No tarmac runoff areas here at Motegi. Fantastic to see.
It's the first time I've ever heard Motegi called old school, but yeah, you're absolutely right. This is what race circuits should be like. You're not cutting corners, none of this arguing about it, but also no temptation of drivers to try and overtake illegally either.
The Wacos car certainly has damage now. Just a couple of the pictures, you can see the driver's right-hand side of the bonnet is coming adrift, and yeah, I think that's only going to get worse for Caldarelli.
He's got to stop that car soon enough. Look, you can see how deranged that whole right front is. Now here comes Chio. He's got to get that move done, but, well, Caldarelli's not making it easy, is he?
Chio's going to go, I thought he was going to go around the long way at the 90-degree corner. So as they come down into the final sector, Chio lining up a move which hopefully we'll see him come by into turn 1. So they come around the final right-hander at turn 14. Chio gets good drive off the corner now. Has the Nissan got the straight line speed to get by the hampered Wacos car? Oh, very aggressive there from Caldarelli. Chio, though,
that's incredibly aggressive.
Down the inside at turn 1.
Is he going to be able to leave it out there? James Rossiter's right there as well, trying to stick his nose in, possibly where it's not so welcome. Chio flashing his lights at the back of Caldarelli, not out of annoyance, just trying to put him off his game, but that was incredibly aggressive, but amazing there was no contact there.
Again, I'm reminded why this is the best GT championship in the world, one of the most spectacular series to watch. We've got wheel-to-wheel racing in both classes, and this, Chio round the outside.
That's not going to make that stick. But here comes Rossiter. He's opened the door for the AU Tom's LC500, I can't believe Rossiter's not going to make this on stick as the car sparks around the outside. Chio touches wheels up the inside. Neither of these two are going to give up on anything, but Rossiter makes the move stick for now. But Chio is not out of this. Those Michelin tyres are going to work very well, and we've seen it. Oh, but there's contact. Lexus on Lexus contact now.
So Rossiter up from 7th. He's made the move stick from 7th on the grid up to 3rd now.
He's the only man who won't obey the team orders from Lexus saying don't get in front of the keeper Tom's car, because James can win this championship all on his own now. Chio's still trying to get past this Wacos car. He's probably screaming behind the wheel like, what do I have to do to get past this thing? And JP Oliveira's now joining in the fight. They're queuing up to get past this stricken Wacos car.
Yeah, for sure, Caldarelli, he's losing. Looking at the pace of the car, I reckon he's probably a half a second to 3/4 of a second off the pace. And yeah, look at them all queuing up behind. And Rossiter's made his move stick, and he's away. Chio lining up a move now into turn 1.
He's still not going to get it. He's going to get done around the outside there. I don't think he will.
He tried the inside line the last lap. He's tried the outside line that lap.
He's got to run on the exit of the corner now. Is he going to make it into this left-hander? Trying around the outside there, wheel to wheel. Is he going to brake slightly later? Damage on the Wacos car around the outside. Has he got it? Is he going to make it stick all the way around? Yes, he has.
Yes, he has.
Finally, Chio is released. But where has the keeper Tom's car gone? It's disappeared off up the road, hunting down the damaged number 23. And his Wacos has taken off JP Oliveira.
Yeah, JP Oliveira took off the Wacos car, to be fair. There was a little tap there from the car as they came into turn 5.
6 laps.
This is great, absolutely great. What awesome racing.
And if you've enjoyed these 6 laps of Super GT, there's a whole season for you to watch here on Nismo TV. So don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and the more support we get from you, the more we can bring you next year, as the traffic, the GT300 traffic has already been caught by the race leader. There is the Toyota Mark X, there is the Prius, and a various gaggle of cars. This is a dangerous time for all of the GT500 runners, because the GT300 cars are all in a big bunch and battling amongst themselves. But look in the top of your screen to see if you can see that Lexus with the Red Bull branding on it. It's no sign of it yet. That's how big the Motul Ortec GTR's gap became.
Yeah, he's really gapping the field now.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, just trying to work his way safely through the gaggle, the herd of GT300 cars.
And there's Jan Mardenborough trying to put a very aggressive move on the Raybrigg NSX. Is he going to make that one stick around the outside? Not quite, and he's lost the position there actually to one of the Lexus cars. That's Heikki Kovalainen's car, but I think it's not Kovalainen at the wheel. I haven't even got time to look at the starting drivers on this one.
Kohei Hirate was the first driver in that car.
And there's battles all the way through the GT500 field. If you think you haven't seen that black, we didn't even talk about it at the start of the race actually, if you think you haven't seen that black Honda NSX, it's just been repainted. So it's a regular car, it's just got a different livery on for this race. But as we see, it is a drive-through penalty, probably quite rightly there for... It was Daiki Sasaki, not JP Oliveira.
Beg your pardon, sorry JP, sorry. Yeah, no, Daiki Sasaki with a drive-through penalty for that contact on the back of Andrea Caldarelli.
Now look at the traffic that the race leader is having to deal with. This whole, just as you say, herd of GT300s, all involved in their own championship battle, their own race, and it's up to the GT500 driver to get through it. But look behind him, there is the Tom's Red Bull car behind him. Ronnie's got to get this done. Even the slightest delay means he's got a Lexus on his tail. And as it stands, with Hirakawa, and it's Nick Cassidy at the wheel of the car, the Lexus Tom's car at the moment, that he is in title winning position. Second position is all the Lexus needs. Here's another car that is in title winning position, which I thought for a moment was going a bit slowly, but that was just foreshortening of the lens, is the number 4 Hatsune Miku car, a very popular car in this series and on this channel. And we'll be coming to look at your chat when the racing calms down a little bit, which it's not showing any sign whatsoever of doing. And in the pits is James Rossiter. Now this isn't scheduled, 8 laps in, tyre change. Has he picked up a puncture? This is crucial. This is one of the championship contenders. Rossiter, of course, has to win the race to be in championship contention, but stopping on 8 laps, no driver change. Fuel going in though. They're rolling the dice strategically, but that must be a problem on the car.
Yeah, I'm pulling my curious face. All I can think is the car has picked up a slow puncture, and that's fired an alarm on the onboard tyre pressure monitoring system these cars run.
Well, he did run off the track quite heavily. They're very leisurely now. No, there's a problem with this number 36 car. That is a shame for that car. It is now really the end of James Rossiter's 2017 title hopes.
We did see James have a couple of run wides, particularly on the exit of turn 4. He ran very wide with that right rear wheel, and whether he's damaged the underfloor, he's clearly reported something to the team, and they're investigating.
Well, that mechanic's pulling quite hard on the brakes and the upright, so it suggests there might be a suspension mounting point issue with that car. Big shame there for Lexus. That's one of the runners out of the title running. But here is the other one, the third in the title at the moment, third in the title hunt at the moment, the number 23 Motul Ortec GTR.
And whatever was rubbing on that left rear wheel, Sam, has clearly come away, and they've dodged a bullet with that one, I think.
Well, hopefully it's not a big chunk of tyre.
No.
So looking at the Hatsune Miku Mercedes, well, having all its own way, actually. That's the top 3 in GT300 on your screen. There in second position is the R2 BMW, followed by the GT86, and there is the following battle. Bjorn Verdheim up to 4th position there, with the GT500 leaders working their way through that front of the pack, and then they'll be released for a little while into clean air until they get onto the back of the train again. It's like playing Snake, really, an old Nokia game. If you're not old enough to remember Snake, what it is, just press down on YouTube enough and then a little button will give you a game you can play. But looking at the comments, everybody is talking about reliability fine. Fresh F83 is saying it. Bermside BMX says, speaking of strategy, are we expecting this to be a one-stop race? Yes, we are. This is absolutely a one-stop race in these dry conditions, and that was James Rossiter's Lexus being pushed into the garage you just saw, so we probably won't see that car featuring very much anymore.
Championship over for James, unfortunately. Nick Cassidy pushing as hard as he can there in the potentially championship-winning Keeper Tom's Lexus. Still keeping the number 23 Nissan within sight. He's only a couple of seconds down the road now.
Yeah, the lap times you're seeing on your screen are particularly relevant at the moment, as are the gaps you're seeing on your screen. They're not absolutely reliable because, as you can see, the cars are working their way through traffic, and it's just where they pick up that traffic. Now you see, as the Gaynor Tanak's car of Bjorn Verdheim is passed by the Tom's Red Bull car, you'll start to get a bit more of an understanding of what the gaps are, but there are still 3 more GT300 cars for these two to get past, but the gaps are now going to be a little bit more reliable to look at.
See brake dust coming off the front of the Keeper Tom's car there, really working the brakes hard, coming down now into turn number 5, the downhill approach. Yep, a little puff of brake dust there.
The questions are coming in the chat. Will we see any of these GT300 cars in the Asian Le Mans series? Of course, a few years ago, Super GT, the GT300 class, had the Asian Le Mans series Japanese round as a GT300 championship round. Well, that isn't planned for the current session of Asian Le Mans. However, I will be out there for the Asian Le Mans round at Fuji Speedway, and I will try and ask that question and come back to you. We might hear about it during the Nismo Festival live coverage, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks here on Nismo TV, and that's one not to watch, but we'll talk about that later, because look at that. Oh, and that Lamborghini got turned around. Is that Orido? Well, not Orido in the shopping channel car.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there from the Zensarumo car coming round. I think it was turn 9 there.
You might get a driving moral hazard penalty for that. Driving moral hazard penalty is what you get. Now let's have a look to see whose fault this was. The Zensarumo turned in. Yeah, he gave the Lamborghini nowhere to go, really, did he?
He gave the Lamborghini nowhere to go, and of course the Lamborghini left-hand drive, huge blind spot. He definitely won't have seen the GT500 car tucked there. So yeah, I have to keep a look at the bottom of the screen for a drive-through.
Yeah, I think that will be a penalty. That's good news though for the driver for the number 12, Jan Mardenborough, hailing from Wales. It's a bit on the side of England. Aurélien Bonnet says, no word from the steward on pre-start contact on first two cars. I suspect, Aurélien, they're not talking about that because the battle's proving quite good and they don't want to penalise, well, either of those two cars. The Wacos car we haven't seen come to the pits for a repair yet, but it's got to be a matter of time, really.
And who would you penalise? Who would you penalise? Because the race hadn't started. It clearly wasn't intentional. They wouldn't be looking to form contact intentionally before the start of the race. So no, I think the stewards have done right by just leaving that one alone, to be honest. And I'm very pleased for now, touching wood, that the damage to the red Nissan hasn't proved more serious.
Yeah, I know, it's impressive that car's withstood that and not really had enough damage. I thought it was all over at the start, as I said, but it wasn't. And the number 23 car lived to fight again, and it is having to fight now for its race lead.
Which race did we see the blue Calsonic car lose a big section of floor? Was that Suzuka?
Maybe.
But that lost a huge box section from the rear diffuser, and it hampered it for a couple of laps, and then they just cracked on.
If you don't follow Super GT on a regular basis, first question, why? You should. Secondly, there is a bit of history between the red car and the blue car. You're seeing the blue car, the Calsonic sponsored Nissan GTR, and obviously the race leader is the number 23 Motor Lawtech car. There were quite a lot of races where the two bumped into each other on a hugely reliable basis, and now the drivers all get fined. Well, they're in the back of the garage talking to, I believe that was Tachi-san, one of the owners of Tom's, was James Rossiter, looking rather dejected at the end of his championship run.
Yeah, a very aggressive, typical James Rossiter push from the start, climbed up from P7 to P3, but yeah, picked up a little bit of damage somewhere along the way, and they've called it a day there with the Tom's AU car. So unfortunately, Rossiter's championship aspirations end in the garage.
The Forum Engineering GTR penalty, according to RJ Connell, wasn't for the avoidable contact, but it was for passing under a red flag in the warm-up. Well, there you go. So there might be more penalties for that Forum Engineering car.
Yeah, if I were a driving standards officer, I would be pointing the finger at him for that little sort of touch as they came down into turn 5. So the inter-class battle continuing now.
It's interesting to see that Chio's pace has fallen off in the S-Road Mola GTR, the other Michelin shod car in the race, and he seems to be getting a lot of rear ends. You saw it sliding there on the exit of the corner, and he seems to be now dropping back into the clutches there of the Zensarumo car as a bird flies across the track rather bravely. But we're also seeing quite a lot of brake dust off the front of that Lexus. Are these Lexi running into braking problems perhaps? That would throw a bird amongst the GT300s.
Well, we've seen in the last few races a lot more brake dust coming from the Lexus. Perhaps they're running a different compound of brake pad. It is a slightly shorter race, 50 kilometers shorter, but Motegi is traditionally hard on the brakes. There's a number of very tight low-speed hairpins with high-speed and downhill approaches. So yeah, really hard on the brakes here.
Yeah, I was just watching to see the right front is where I saw the brake dust coming off, and obviously with the problem, the currently unknown problem for James Rossiter. But it does look like Chio's just dropped back. He's become slightly less competitive.
Oh look, there's a Honda NSX in the race. That's the first time we've seen one of those today.
Yeah, I know. The Hondas really aren't doing well here at their home circuit of Motegi. Honda has its big collection hall just up on the hill there. I've never actually managed to get up the hill because every time I go to Motegi it rains. So questions coming in about the GT500 class. How are the cars? If you want to set up a GT500 team, how do you go about getting a car? It's actually very difficult. These are all manufacturer-owned cars. In all three manufacturers, the cars are owned by the manufacturers, the teams are appointed, and you are essentially a works team.
You would need a colossal amount of cash, like more cash than you could possibly dream of, and then a meeting with the man that owns Nissan. That would be the way to start.
Yep. Or Toyota or Honda. Nissan is probably the best bet you'd have if you wanted to start a new GT500 team, because Nissan is the team with the fewest GT500 cars, and they'll be the ones to operate. And well, the DTM drivers sitting there in their overalls, I reckon Loic Duval, they're sitting, I just think he's probably thinking, I want to have a go.
And rightly so, he's missing a fabulous event. So I can't believe, looking at the screen here, we've only got 14 laps under our belt. 14,
a lively
14
race,
down of our 53 race duration.
Well, that's quite interesting. We just saw on the screen briefly what the gaps are lap by lap between the first two cars in the field, and the gap is getting bigger, not smaller. So that Tom's Red Bull Lexus is not catching the number 23 Motor Lawtech GTR, which is a surprise because the red car has got damage on it, quite significant damage on the rear end. Bits fell off it.
And again, I'm drawn to just looking at tyres. The race leader on Michelin's, the Keeper Toms on Bridgestones. Who's got the better tyre over a longer duration? Clearly, Michelin came here with something extraordinary for qualifying. Have they brought a good race tyre as well? Well, let's see as the race unfolds. We're still quite a long way off where we would expect our pit stop window to open.
Looking at the GT300 field, question came in. I didn't see who it was from actually. It was from P4 Protagonists. I'm not reading out the second bit. Not enough time in the day. Yuta Asashina GTC asks, when will the ARTA team get a new JAF GT car? Now, JAF GT is the rule set in GT300, which isn't the cars you can see in front of you, the GT3 cars. It's the ones where you can basically base a car on something that you've made up, such as the Arta Guerrilla, which they had before. No such plans. Rumour is that they may well be running a GT3 Honda next year, but they seem to be keen to stay with the BMW as well. Well, round the outside, or trying to make that move for fourth position in GT300, is the D-Station Porsche of Müller. Try to go round the outside of Bjorn Verdheim in the Gainer Tanax Mercedes, and that battle's been going on for quite a long time.
And conspicuous by their absence, Sam, are the mother chassis cars and the more traditional Japanese GT300 cars, the FIA GT3 specification cars, the BMW, the Mercedes and the Porsche we're looking at here. They are the class of the field. They're really suiting the configuration of Motegi.
There is only one non-GT3 car in the top 8, and that is in third position. That is the VVAC 86, which we saw with all the bodywork off on the starting grid, but it's all gone back on, and the car seems to be working quite nicely. 8th and 9th positions are also filled by the non-conventional Japanese cars. Good to see those JAF GT cars and the mother chassis cars, because I just think they're a lot more interesting than GT3 cars. Yeah,
they're a fantastic car. They're about 450 horsepower, more like an out-and-out racing car than a modified road vehicle. Their silhouette is unique to the Super GT series.
Well, it looks like Chio's found the fast button and is leaving the Zensurumo Lexus behind again. His lap times came screaming down suddenly, and the battle seems to have suddenly ended between the 38 and the 24.
And he too is on that Michelin. So yeah, as the race settles down now, perhaps the Bridgestone runners are just finding they're losing a little grip. They're having to slow the car down just that little bit more. They're having to wait before they pick up the throttle. Whereas our race leader and Chio in the S-Road Mola car can continue to push on more aggressively.
Battle there for 8th position in GT500. Quite a lot of wobble in the rear wing of that Honda, but rear wings on all of these GT500 cars are identical. It's part of the rules package. They all have identical floors, rear wings, various other parts. The gearbox is actually generally identical. However, one big difference with the Honda, which you can see on screen, is it's mid-engined and it's got bits hanging off it as well.
The damping on that Honda doesn't look nice. If you look at the way the back of the car is bouncing in comparison to the Lexus behind, the Denso Lexus there looking a lot more composed, and the mid-engined Honda, yeah, bouncing around. That's Heikki Kovalainen. He'll be getting into the Denso LC500.
He was looking at his watch saying, is it my go yet?
He's probably looking at his heartbeat thinking, yeah, I wonder if I've got a mild chest infection.
There's quite a lot of damage on quite a few cars now. So we've seen damage on the rear end of that number 8 Honda, which you can see on the screen at the moment, but also looking at the back of, there it is, the number 1, the reigning champions, the Denso Lexus. There's a good chunk of damage on the left rear of that car as well.
Yeah, we just saw as the car crested the rise at the top of the downhill straight there, at the left rear of the car. Yeah, there's a little piece of floor flapping, and it shouldn't be losing that much performance, but of course, possibly that's going to interfere with the rear tyre.
So if you're enjoying this racing here at Motegi, we need to see you hit like, and you got to hit the subscribe. There's over 1,000 of you watching at the moment, and so hit like and hit subscribe, because we need to get all those likes up, because that's how we're measured on Bring It Backness for next season. So we need all of those likes. And well, Jan Marden, we're getting very racy. He likes. He wants to get past Izawa's Raybrig NSX. It's all the blue cars there. There's the Keihin NSX just behind the Calsonic blue car, with the blue car of the Raybrig car in front of them in the battle for 5th.
Jan's body language in the car is just completely transparent, isn't it? You can just see he's so keen to get by, but just needs to be careful. These cars, they can take a hit, but Jan will be looking to keep a clean pair of heels and just make a good impression at the final race of the this year's championship.
It is a bit of a commentator's nightmare when these 3 cars get together, because when the camera angle goes gloomy like it just did,
yeah, all you can see is silhouette and headlights.
Well, here is the first pit stop quite early on for the Good Smile Racing team, the number 4 car, leading the championship in GT300, having a very quiet race out in front. There is Hatsune Miku.
Brilliant. It's the best kind of race to have, a quiet race whilst leading.
But stopping on lap 18, which is fairly unusual for... It's fairly unusual for these cars. You'd think on a one-stop race, 250k, around Motegi, you'd stop just the mathematical midpoint.
Yeah, there must be some sort of strategy to it. I can't think why. Maybe they'd like to have a little look at the car, but no, the car's showing great pace. They must just be planning an early stop.
Now, some teams famously, like the Lotus Evora, they've got 2 drivers. One driver's much faster than the other driver, but right now the driver at the wheel of the Mercedes there doing a great job.
These cars run a special race fuel, Sam, or do they take on board just like a regular pump fuel like we put in our road cars?
That's quite an interesting question. So one of the regulations in Super GT and Super Formula for that matter is that all of the cars in the field have to run on whatever fuel is available for sale in the paddock.
Okay, so yeah,
it's
like
a different fuel at each track.
So the cars will be mapped for probably what we would consider a premium grade unleaded product.
And what happens is in the GT500 cars, and I think I just saw the Forum Engineering car come into the pits there. In the GT500 class, the manufacturers actually go to the track for a while off, as we've got damage for an Audi under the bridge. Now, has he hit something or he blown up?
I think it's a Lamborghini. I think
you're right.
It's a fire in a Lamborghini.
Oh, we've never seen that before. Yes, indeed, it is a Lamborghini on fire. Well, it's Spa or something. That happens a lot. But yeah, they have a special. They don't have a special race fuel. They have to use the race fuel from the paddock. So the manufacturer engineers go out to the track, take a fuel sample of all different fuels, because sometimes there's 2 or 3 different fuels available on the pumps. Go back and map their GT500 engines to that specific fuel before the race.
Tell you what, a great stop from the D Station Porsche. That's brought them right back into what will be a a race-winning position.
It really has. I mean, they're right behind the class leader there as the car is on fire. That going to bring out a safety car? I don't think it probably will.
No, he's pulled off to the right coming out of turn 13, so he's a long way off the circuit. But I was reminded that as the Good Smile Mercedes left that, of course, no tyre warmers in this series, and it is a chilly day, so the cars making those early pit stops are going to struggle to get heat in the tyres, as we've seen the positions have changed between the D-Station Porsche and the Mercedes we're looking at there.
And the Mercedes is looking like he's struggling to get it turned in on those cold tyres, really struggling on those tyres actually. That number 4 Hatsune Miku car looks like it may have a few issues. He's certainly losing huge ground now to the D-Station Porsche. He's not getting back up to speed at all.
And that's Nob Taniguchi. You'd expect him to be in the car and on it, Sam, and he's clearly struggling with something.
Yeah, that's surprising. That car certainly, I mean, I know it's next to GT500 there, but it doesn't look happy, and I just saw it squirming around. Look, he's not going near the curbs. He's in trouble there, Rob.
And he's got a championship to think about as well. Yeah, he's braking early, struggling to make the clipping point at the hairpin. And
well, what we're seeing here is, oh no, there's definitely problems for that Hatsune Miku car now. Taniguchi just didn't accelerate out of the corner. There was no fight in that GSR car.
Oh, very strange. Okay, so
lots of early pit stops in GT300. Let's say 5 or 6 laps earlier than expected, as the Leon Mercedes makes a stop, as does the VVAC 86. There's the Golf Porsche. These are all the top runners in the GT300 class, and we'll see how they all filter back in. But this could bring the VVAC car back into contention for the class win, because there is the D-Station Porsche coming around to catch up, but he's on hot tyres and the VVAC is on cold tyres. Let's see if he can stay out in front.
I didn't even see in the background the Mercedes has gone, so no, there he is. So okay, so the Mercedes settling down, but he clearly did have a problem of some description. Perhaps there was something, maybe the seatbelt slipped off his hands device or something that he was sorting out in the car, but he's now up to speed. But the Porsche pushing very, very hard.
Yes, but look, the VVAC 86 is out there in front, and that car is, and the Leon Mercedes there as well. So the D-Station Porsche is going to get past the Leon Mercedes maybe, but oh, they're nearly banging wheels and nearly taking off that GT500 car going up the inside. The 64 car in its special black livery. That's to celebrate a watch manufacturer who sponsor the team. And it's a one-off livery for this race. So that would be a really expensive Ebro model. I think it's an Epson watch. I think Epson have started making watches is the reason for that. Okay. So maybe it prints as you look at the time. I'm not sure. But the D-Station Porsche now on the tail of the VVAC 86. And the VVAC 86 now should be coming up to tyre temps and should be able to hold him off. Now, it looks like a battle for far down the field, because it's 18th and 19th, because there's an awful lot of cars in the GT300 field that haven't pitted, but the D-Station Porsche, well, making quite quick work of the number 25 VVAC 86.
Yeah, straight line speed advantage really helped as they came through the final kind of sectors, came through the second speed trap, and maybe that's where these FIA GT3 cars have the advantage this weekend, Sam. Perhaps it's in just a smidgen more straight line speed.
Yeah, I mean, there is a balance of performance that's conducted in GT300, but rather than like the balance of performance you see in the Blancpain Endurance Series in Europe, I mean, it's actually done by the same man. Claude Simont does the balance of performance in Blancpain Endurance, also does the balance of performance in GT300. He's having to balance 3 different types of car, and one of those types of cars, the JAF GT300s, have open engineering, so the cars have different bodywork from race to race.
Interesting fact on the screen between the D-Station Porsche and the Hatsune Miku AMG, looking at the time they spent in the pit lane and the pace of the outlap. Nob Taniguchi clearly had a problem on the outlap that's now gone away. The body language of the car is more settled. He's back fully up to speed, but he lost a huge amount of time on his outlap.
I was briefly trying to work out the situation in terms of championship finish and who is where and what all of this pans out as, but then it just ended up being looking at a train timetable. And
yeah, you're on your own there.
I'm going to leave that to RJ O'Connell, as more to the point, the championship leader, the number 37 car of Nick Cassidy, comes in, and the Kiwi hops out and hands over to his Japanese teammates. Ryo Hirakawa to bring it home. Quite early stops, as I say, and at the moment things are looking very peachy for the Keeper Toms.
Yeah, that car looks really, really nice. Nick Cassidy looking on. Fuel going in at the moment, so they can't touch the car. They can assist with the driver, but they can't touch the car. The D-Station Porsche's got a problem, has it?
Yes, it has. It's because right front is low.
I think it's got a puncture, Sam.
Yeah, right front's down. So that's bad news for the D-Station Porsche. So good news for the VVAC 86. There is the VVAC 86.
We saw him run wide at turn 4 a moment ago, and it was the right-hand side of the car that he dropped off the side of the track. So yeah, unfortunately, he's picked up a puncture as we see the championship-leading Lexus rejoining.
Yeah, and I think the situation with that is that the Hatsune Miku car is definitely still in championship contention now. Probably.
Yes. Definitely, probably.
Yeah, RJ O'Connell on Super GT World posted a very good championship permutations table, and it's quite long, but it's worth looking at and try and working out where all these GT300 cars particularly going to stack up. In GT500, however, it is looking like a good day for the 37 Red Bull Toms car. We haven't seen the GT500 leader for a while. The number 23 has disappeared off into the distance.
Yeah, no news is good news normally, isn't it? It's just carefully ticking off the laps, making his way carefully through the traffic, and I'd be expecting them to make a stop before too long, to be honest. I would normally expect them to see them sort of match the strategy of the Keeper Tom's car, and so they can keep an eye on the gap. Or would they look to flip it and do something completely different to try and mix things up?
Who knows? We'll find out. Stay tuned here on Nismo TV. If you're enjoying this brilliant Super GT battle at Motegi, it's the season finale. It's not the end of live racing here on Nismo TV. We do have one more GT500 versus GT300 versus GT4 versus some other stuff race coming up in a couple of weeks from Fuji Speedway. It's Nismo Festival. Stay tuned, hit like and subscribe for that one. It is not to be missed because there's some really special content coming up over the winter and into the new season from Nismo Festival. We'll be heading out there to Japan in not too long.
First time we've seen the Bentley running in GT300. The car's in 15th, 16th, 17th, coming up to put a lap on him as we see the Ray Brigg NSX. Now, new GT500 cars leave the pits. Sorry,
a new Bentley launched a couple of days ago.
Yeah, mean-looking GT300 car.
Absolutely awesome. Will we see that here in Japan? What we will be seeing, it looks like, is some of the NSX GT3s coming and racing here. But here, looking at the GT3, two GT3s chasing a mother chassis car with a Bentley in front of them, is the championship leader Hatsune Miku, the Leon AMG, identical car, though one of those cars I believe has the endurance headlights and one of them has the sprint race headlights. We've spotted this before, and the VVAC 86 is, well, just looking quite strong in front of both of them.
The SARD team have released the Kraken. They have got Heikki Kovalainen in the car now, so Heikki only knows one speed, a little like James Rossiter. He'll be pushing as hard as he can to try and make up for what for them has been a relatively disappointing season, only coming into this event running 7th in the championship table with only one win so far.
Well, look at that's the battle on track. The Yuji Ide, he is the same fellow you saw in Super Aguri and Formula 1, usually upside down, and well, nearly causing trouble there for the VVAC 86. Yuji Ide drives like Yuji Ide knows how.
That was quite close.
That was nice and close, yeah. On cue as well. Thank you, Yuji. Made me look like I knew you were going to be quite lively on track. And nearly, of course, if that had got into a bit of trouble, it nearly took out the GT500 leader. Well, championship leader.
Yeah. It just goes to show how careful these GT500 guys have got to be as they come across these battling GT300 cars.
Now, if you're looking at the top of the screen, you'll see all those positions shuffling around. That's a car disappearing down through the field because they've dived into the pit lane, and that's why there they all come out of the pit lane. Jan Mardenborough having given up his seat in the Calsonic GTR, handing over to his teammates, the GT500 cars cycling through their pit stops. And you'll see the little blue blobs with the number 1 on the top of the screen. That's for cars who've made a pit stop. And that means it cycles through the series. the whole field cycle through. And there is the race leader, the number 23 Motul Ortec GTR in for, that's Ronnie Quintarelli handing over to Sugio Matsuda. There is Matsuda. And there's Ronnie hopping out.
Interesting to see the scrutineers. They're taking a really good look at the back of the car to make sure that there's no bodywork still catching the tyres. As the fuel goes in, the drivers are allowed to change and the driver assistants are allowed to help them, but no wheel changing can take place. So as soon as the fuel man pulls out, then we'll see the front tyres get changed on the Motul car.
Now, did you spot? I wasn't paying attention. I'm just going to have a quick look at the real-time replay. Just having a look to see if it's a 4-tyre or a 2-tyre stop.
I think they did a pair of rears before the fuel and the pair of fronts thereafter. Absolutely what they do. What
you may see, and we've seen it in this short race at Motegi before, is perhaps some cars that are lighter on the tyres, notably the VVAC 86, and that may be how it's jumped forward in the pack. They don't always change their tyres at the pit stop.
Yeah, with only 250 kilometres race duration, it is possible for a car that is light on its tyres to do the whole race on just a single set.
Callum McLachlan has asked me, do I think I'm going to commentate on Nismo TV next year? Well, that's my plan.
As long as enough people click like and subscribe, then hopefully Sam and I will be returning.
Yeah, exactly.
Our mortgages will continue to be paid.
Yeah. That's absolutely it. Super GT will be on screen somewhere next year, and hopefully here on Nismo TV. I believe that is the plan. I haven't heard anything different. So more likes, more subscribes, make it more guaranteed. And the Keeper Tom's car there is still 3 seconds behind, and somebody's been off somewhere, and it looks like there's the OU car's reappeared from the pit. Forgottenness. So obviously they fixed whatever was wrong with that Lexus, but he's miles down the field, but just causing some hassle for a Honda in the blue car.
I thought that was a replay of James Rossiter rejoining earlier when he ran wide out of turn 4, but no, the big puff of dust in the background, and yeah, Heikki Kovalainen there pushing hard in the Denso sponsored car.
Tom Anderson says he's down for more of this in 2018. Aren't we all? This is great. And let's have a replay of what went on. Well, there was wheel to wheel. The Forum Engineering car gets hit there. Almost hit by the Denso
he was
LC.
Just carefully manoeuvred out of the way by Kovalainen. I was just sorry, I had my vision taken there for a moment by another big bit of carbon coming away from the LC500, the number 1 car we're looking at there. Okay, here we go.
Again.
So that's a wheel arch liner.
It's got some sponsor logos on it, so
maybe the racing driver who doesn't really know what a wheel arch liner looks like.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's the little legality panel at the left rear of the car, which we've seen with damage on it before. Well, Heikki Kovalainen is giving a very good view of that to the Calsonic GTR at the moment. But yeah, that car had damage on it earlier on. Well, look at that pack of GT300s. They've been playing together like that for a while, haven't they?
And it's so frustrating from a driver's perspective to be in that heated battle. You're just waiting. If you don't have the performance to overtake, you're simply waiting for a driver to make a mistake or waiting for him to gamble in traffic. And if he goes one way, you simply go the other. It's a very frustrating and quite a stressful environment to be in.
It's Matsui and Gamu, Matsui at the wheel of the VVAC 86 and Gamu in the Leon Mercedes. Now, we've seen these two having at it before in this exact order earlier in this season. It was exactly so. It's a similar situation like this. The battle just went on for ages and ages and ages until the tyres started to go off, and then it got quite spicy. With Hatsune Miku sitting there just behind them, wondering, should I wait back here and pick up the pieces?
Yeah, he just has to avoid the inevitable contact that will possibly happen between these guys if they do trip each other up. Of course, he's got his championship aspirations to think of.
Now that bit of Lexus is still left in the middle of the track as the slightly scorched shopping channel Lamborghini It's recovered onto the back of a truck in the backdrop there. But these guys are just going to run around together. You may have just had a glimpse in the foreground a couple of times of a green car with yellow parts on. That's a Toyota Mark X. It's a one-off car. It's a mother chassis car. There it is in the top of your screen. It's only on sale in certain places in Japan. The Saitama Toyo Pet dealership chain is the only place that you can acquire that car from. And it's built with the V8 engine that they all use, and you can just see it in front of this pack of cars at the moment. And yeah, it's an interesting, slightly different design. It's not pretty though.
I was just going to say it's not the prettiest car in the field. When you look at how lovely the little VVAC 86 look with its beautiful wheel arch extensions, you can see the shape of the GT86 BRZ that car is based upon there as like a silhouette. But what a lovely looking little car, and it's not as pretty as that.
And the thing about it, what you always forget, is the Lotus Evora, which we haven't really seen in this race at all, but it is out there somewhere, the Mark X and that VVAC 86, they all run identical chassis. And they all run with the same 4.5 litre V8 normally aspirated engine. Well, there is Chio coming into the pits in the S-Road Mola GTR. Now, it'll be interesting to see where that car feeds in, because he's putting in some stunning lap times coming up to the pit stop. Here I am. Some good sound of the cars leaving the pits there. The GT500 cars are beautiful sounding machines, and each of them sounds different. The Honda, the Nissan and the Lexus all sound totally different when they're out on track. And when this race is on, if you're down in Motegi town centre, which is a fairly sleepy place at the best of times, you can hear the GT500s on the overrun going into the hairpin. It's just the weirdest, spookiest sound echoing around the mountains.
The Audi R8 there on screen for the first time today. It's amazing how some of these cars, because of the quality and quantity of the field, we just don't get to see them.
Exactly.
We haven't seen the Ferrari 488 today in GT300.
And well, it's out there, but it's not been especially competitive. It's only real noteworthy thing it's done is be destroyed in the opening race. Mario Nitta managing to get out of one of the biggest accidents of the season. There is the Lotus, which we hadn't talked about, as the two Hondas work their way through the field. I preferred it when it was white. And now we get to see, coming back through the field, is the S-Road Mola GTO Satoshi Motoyama at the wheel of the car. Will he be racing next year? Speculation over his future. Still speculation over where Jenson Button is going to feed into Super GT next year. It does seem a done deal that he will be racing in GT500 in 2018. But will it be in a Nissan?
Or a Honda.
There are stories that say he will, there's stories that say he won't. Or will he be in a Honda? Stories that say he will, stories that say he won't. The rumours aren't decided, and I think we won't find that one out until February.
Yeah, it's not going to be one that... there are other controlling factors, Sam, as you know. So Sean Walkinshaw waiting to jump aboard his BMW M6.
Still a long shot for the title. Has to win the race to win the title. Doesn't look like that is going to happen, as there's a good battle there between... Well, these two blue Hondas have been going at it all race, and nearly got onto the debris. And then they're going to create some more, aren't they?
Yeah, very, very close to touching there as they come through this final sector, coming into the last two corners here. There was definitely contact there between them.
Yeah. If two Nissan drivers hit each other, they get a fairly hefty fine. I'm not sure. I think the size of the fine was disclosed, but I can't actually remember what it was now. RJ O'Connell will probably know that snap of his fingers from Super GT World. But yeah, these two Hondas don't seem to worry about that, and they are really having at it. Not the best race for Honda, I have to say, here.
Of course, at a circuit owned by Honda. It's yeah, not a brilliant afternoon. Not a brilliant afternoon there for the 61, the Subaru BRZ.
So as you managed that, well, that wasn't the best replay in the world, was it then?
It definitely has something to do with a lock of a brake.
Thanks, Mr. TV Director. We'll try that one again, shall we, in a little while, when you've actually found the off. But yeah, the Subaru hasn't had a few of the cars you expect to be quite strong this year. The Subaru, the two Toyotas, Priuses, Prii, haven't been as strong as we perhaps expected this year. Maybe the new balance of performance doesn't favour that type of car. Hard to say, but it's continuing on.
Is it like Lexus, one Lexus, many Lexus, one Prius, many Prius?
No, Lexi Prii.
Oh, no.
The So Speaks Partridge. Waiting for Scott Brownlee to come and correct us on this, because I know he listens into these. But here on Nismo TV, we are watching the Super GT 2017 Grand Finale from Motegi, the Twin Ring Motegi. The Super has got back underway. And it is a thrilling race from the first lap onwards. The leading car in the race, the Motul Ortec GTR, has damage from before the race started. The second place car in the race is the championship leader, but there are suspicions that the Lexus cars may have problems with their brakes. The air temperature is increasing up to it's gone up 5 degrees. Is that going to change the tyre degradation rates? Are the teams uncertain?
Who knows?
In Super GT, they have not just a choice of tyre manufacturers, 5 different tyre manufacturers, but each tyre manufacturer for each class brings soft, medium and hard compounds as well as the different wet tyres. And we don't get the soft, medium and hard compound data until the day after the race. So that doesn't help us. And there's no way of telling until the tyre manufacturer tells you. Yuta Asashina GTC, I'm not reading a full name out, it's too long. It says, we need more JAF GT and mother chassis cars in GT300. I entirely agree. No rumours, unusually this year, of any new mother chassis cars coming for 2018. That doesn't mean there won't be, it just means there aren't any rumours of it yet. But it could be that the mother chassis package have run out of engines to supply, so all of the engines are sold out. But there are plans to build more cars. What they'll be, I don't know. We have heard rumours and suggestions, but if you want to see a mother chassis car, let us know what you think it should be.
For sure, the availability of the FIA GT3 machinery is a lot more easy to come across, Sam, if you were a team manager looking to purchase a new GT300 car. The FIA cars are a lot easier to get your hands on, as we see the 61 car that we saw in the gravel at turn 3 making a pit stop, being popped up onto the skates and then wheeled back in.
That's a Works Subaru, one of the few Works cars in GT300. Strictly speaking, Works teams shouldn't be in GT300, but there's a few cars out there that aren't at all Works run, but it's pretty clear that that is a Works car. And yeah, well, that was the enthusiastic girl just being told that, you know, that's it.
The cross of the hands from the number 1 mechanic there.
The Cross of Doom.
The Cross of Doom. Yep, game over.
There is our race leader. I'm amazed they've got such a big gap. I mean, Nissan hasn't won a race this season after dominating since this rule set came in, so really overdue a victory. Came very close in Thailand. Jan Mardenborough, if it hadn't been for that fueling error, was very close to changing the score completely, and would have changed things for the Red Bull Lexus as well, which is now leading the championship as a result.
So on screen, our race leader being hunted down by Bertie Baguette in the stealth liveried Honda NSX there.
Well, I guess instead of calling it the Epson NSX, we now have to call it the Troom.
The Troom.
The Troom NSX.
Isn't that a golf course in Scotland?
Yeah, really bad tasting caps as well and wigs. But yeah, the 64 car in that unusual era, that is in second position, of course, as you can see on the screen. It hasn't made a stop. The AU LC500 is out there. And now we're seeing a replay of the Troom NSX being passed by the Motul Ortec. Well, that wasn't very important. Well, there is the mother chassis Lotus. Lots of trouble, usually serious.
Looks quite terminal. So that's the top of the crest after turn 10 as they come into the downhill straight, and unless he gets going, Sam, we could be looking at a safety car, because there's no immediate way to drag that car up.
Safety car would be very bad news for quite a few people, but most of all, the number 23 Motul Ortec GTR got 11 seconds over the second position. he just wants to keep that gap out there. These guys, 6th, 7th and 8th, they are fighting for the class win. There's still cars in GT300 that haven't yet stopped. Safety car comes out. It could change the picture of this race overall, and it could interrupt the overall standings. I wonder if Bando-san is sitting in his office going, no safety car.
It's
just leave the Lotus where it is.
I'm trying to work out who would be the winners and who would be the losers, and it would firmly put the cat amongst the pigeon if the safety car were to come out now.
No, we've just got a comment in from Fujisawa, so no, have a look on the chat. I'm not reading that one out because I didn't study Latin at school. We're discussing what would be the name of Lexi and Priai. Who knows? But there you go. There's the pit stop summary for GT300 on your screen. You can see who hasn't stopped, and they are the guys in front of these guys who are having this tense but uneventful battle. Matsui, Gamu, and Taniguchi, who is being rather circumspect, unusually for Taniguchi. Really not
championship at stake, Sam.
Yeah,
it's the only way you've got to be,
and only needs to be in third position. Well, they're sorting out the Lotus with the first response operation or first recovery operation, the throw car. Something in Super GT, you'll see that very slow moving SUV on track at quite time. They drive the slow course cars around the track during the race. It's normal. It may seem unusual to European eyes, but in practice they had buses going around on the track with the race cars. And there are questions coming in from a kid named Kenny96. What do the red and blue lights on the windscreens mean? It's which driver is in the car.
Yeah, driver ID lights. It's unusual, actually. It's one of the few series in the world to allow a forward-facing red light. You can see the colour of the headlights. The GT300s run the yellow lights and the headlights, and the GT500s run the white headlights. But normally within sort of conventional European and world motor racing, you're not allowed any forward-facing red light. But here in Japanese GT, yep, driver ID lights.
The Raybrigg NSX and the Keihin NSX, these two blue Hondas, have been squabbling since the first lap, really, over who gets to be in fifth position, which has absolutely no bearing at all on the championship.
It may have a bearing on who gets a contract to drive for Honda next year, though. So now we see our GT300 leader coming in to make his pit stop.
And that is Takagi giving way to Sean Walkinshaw, formerly of this parish. That's a car that is in contention for the GT300 championship, has to win the race, probably won't. So we'll see where he feeds back out with this gaggle of three cars. Could he have played a blinder with this late pit stop? We'll see. Running in clean air might be.
It's not going to be a million miles away, but those tyres are stone cold.
Now, let's see, looking back down the track to see where that number 25 VVAC 86 is. Nowhere to be seen. I think it's disappeared off up the road. Yeah. There he is. Oh, no, he hasn't. No.
They're coming through.
Oh, no, this has played well.
They're coming through to start the lap. So the BMW, the M6, has played a blinder, I think, Sam, with that slightly later, much later driver change. Now, it's a question now, how quickly can Walkinshaw get those tyres up to temperature?
Even now, with that situation, it still isn't enough to give. Oh, as the Leon Mercedes finally makes a move stick on the number 25, but is he going to keep it there? The 25 is going to be fighting back up the inside. He didn't see that one coming. The 25 driver was caught napping.
He was caught napping by the older specification Mercedes SLS there on the right of our screen, flashing away. The Leon Mercedes just took advantage of the VVAC being distracted and went down the inside. Great move.
And that old Mercedes does look really old now. Oh, has the VVAC got a problem, I wonder? Are things not quite right in that MC86? Because Hatsune Miku is all over his rear end as the AU Tom's Zombie LC500 makes its way through to continue driving around in zero position. It's not even being scored, it's so far down. There you go, there's the gap between the 86 and Hatsune Miku. Well, doesn't really matter because you can see it on screen. Nob
Taniguchi there in the Mercedes, now looking to make his move on that VVAC 86. And yeah, like you say, Sam, it does look as if he's got a problem.
It does. I think that is a bit of a slow moving VVAC 86. it's interesting. I mean, these cars are great. Now, here's another car that could cause a little bit of an upset. The number 51 Project New LM Corsa. Well, she's happy.
With cold. Jumping up
It's 19 degrees centigrade, and she's got 3-layer Nomex on. She's not cold. That is the car that's in second position in the GT300 Championship, leaving the pit lane now, but crucially, leaving behind Hatsune Miku and leaving behind any hope of winning the championship, I think.
Unless they have a storming recovery drive and very quickly get up to speed, yeah, they're going to struggle from there. They're going to be, when those tyres come up to temperature, they're going to be in about 7th or 8th on the road, I think.
And for the Nakayama Tsuboi LM Corsa Lexus to win the championship, it has to be on the podium with the Hatsune Miku car not doing very well at all, and the Hatsune Miku car is currently doing quite well indeed, but it does need to clear this number 25 mother chassis 86, because I mean, look at the Leon car is gone.
It checked out, disappeared. He's just up the road, and those Bertrand Baguette's teammates.
That is the Troom Epson NSX, as we have to call it.
Matsuri.
64,
Matsuri leaving the pits, so he's eventually made his stop. So 36 laps under our belt of the 53. Battle in GT300 continues. Hatsune Miku, Nob Taniguchi there being very, very careful. Remember, it's his championship to lose, really.
Yeah, and they're driving sensibly. But look how much time he's losing. He's going to have a go. Well, you imagine you're sort of driving along in your Toyota 86 and you look up in your rear view mirror and all you see is Hatsune Miku coming at you. That's what your face would look like. Fight GSR, I think, is the hashtag for that team. Very active on social media. Even that is the only team, I think, in Super GT, other than, of course, Nismo itself, that has a English language Twitter feed.
Really?
They do have an English. They started at the Spa 24 hours, and they've kept it going.
I'm going to have to get on this newfangled Twitter thing, really, aren't I?
Yeah, maybe. That'll be funny.
I'm going to upgrade from my Nokia.
No, don't do that.
To something more smart. I might get
smarter Nokia.
I might get a car with an internal combustion engine next, and one without a man walking in front of it with a flag.
Of all the GT300 cars, everybody has stopped. But the key factor is this car is the race leader on track. They did play a blinder by making that late pit stop. The Arta M6 with Sean Walkinshaw at the wheel has gone into the lead in reality.
That's amazing strategy from the Arta M6. They obviously won their home race at the Fuji Motor Speedway, and leading out of nowhere. So a fantastic in-lap, a fantastic pit stop, and a fantastic out-lap from Sean Walkinshaw. Great job.
Richard Morris has just tweeted a very nice comment saying, "Thanks for the great coverage." What are we seeing here? Two Hondas finally overtaking each other? Yes, is that a problem? Raybriggs got problems there. Or was that team orders? That looked like team orders.
I think that was team orders. So was that
one?
Rick Morris being nice about us?
Yeah, Rick Morris was saying, thanks for streaming, have the same commentary for the 2018 season.
Yep, you can come again. Thank you very much.
You're allowed. Have you hit like and subscribe? I think you probably have, but if you haven't, you should. Because hitting like and subscribe means we might come back.
Hashtag be like Rick.
Yeah, we like Rick. Well, coming up next on Nismo TV after this wonderful race from Motegi, as Hatsune Miku is trying to get up the inside of the VVAC 86, but Matsui isn't making it easy for her. There is the Golf Porsche combing in on the rear of Hatsune Miku as well. Can't remember if that's John O'Lester at the wheel or not. That is the car that crashed on the warm-up lap as well. The warm-up laps earlier on, you can see a big bit of damage. Is that John O'Lester at the wheel?
It will be John O'Lester. He's second driver in the car today. So John O'Lester at the wheel of the iconic Gulf liveried Porsche. Fantastic to see.
You can see the damage on the left rear of the car, just ahead of the left rear wheel. You can see a big patch of different coloured orange. That's because they've got Gulf orange tape. It doesn't quite match the paint, and that's where it got attacked by an Audi R8 in the warm-up session. Doesn't seem to be slowing the car down though. And there come those two scrapping Hondas to join in the GT300 battle.
Ooh, around the outside, that could get messy. No, just about made it.
I just had a thought now, if Nick Cassidy wins the championship today, he'll probably have to go up on the podium and have to do his champagne spraying, which he's absolutely failed to do at any point in this season. So if you are on the Twitter, do drop Nick Cassidy. He's on there. I think it's just his name is his Twitter handle. I think do drop him a note about his champagne technique, his champagne spraying technique being lacking.
I'm pulling my confused face, Sam, because these two Hondas that are clearly under some sort of championship, under team orders within the championship, are still racing. Well, it looks like for position.
Well, they are racing for position, but that would look like a team orders pass, but.
Yeah, the Raybrig car that's currently the second one behind is looking more aggressive than you'd expect, being under team orders. And Nob Taniguchi down the inside.
Did they touch?
He's got to be so careful, the driver of the Mercedes, he doesn't pick up a puncture. That's our champion. He's in a championship-winning position.
He doesn't need to be having a tight battle with this car, the VFAC 86.
But equally, he needs to get by it because John O'Lester's going to be. He's going to take no prisoners to overtake him. So,
and Hatsune Miku is third in GT300, even though the leader of GT300 hasn't pitted. That's why Hatsune Miku is in third position. All Hatsune Miku needs to do is finish in the top three and is guaranteed the championship. If it's in fourth or lower, that Mercedes, then it's all down to the different permutations of who finishes where. But this is, oh well, John O'Lester's getting very close now to the back end of Hatsune Miku. And big damage there for the Wed Sport. We haven't really seen the Wed Sport Lexus at all in this race, but he's got big right front damage. Now, how did he acquire that?
I think he's hit something, Sam. I think he's definitely hit something with the front of his car. And look, he's hit two things.
He's hit the Prius and the Honda together. Very fragile, the front end of these Lexus, aren't they?
If that was Bertrand Baguette...
Oh, he can't see!
He can see a little bit more now there, but yeah, a sandwich there with one of the cars whose driver was called Baguette. There could have been some bread-based joke, but he's obviously sat in the pits, so no, I'm not going to make that one. If you're a fan of bread-based jokes, click like, click subscribe, and be more like Rick.
And if you don't want any more bread-based jokes, do that anyway. So the gap between first and second in GT500 is opening out there. The Keeper Tom's car, number 37, at the moment looking like he's cruising home to a championship victory. The Motul Ortec GTR, there you go. Here are the championship points in real time. 2 points in it. Oh, just 2 points in it. If Oshima and Caldarelli move up, they might be able to. They will take probably just enough points off the Keeper Toms to hand the title to the Nismo car, but it seems too far away. There is Nick Cassidy, Jan Mardenborough's flatmate, not very good at opening champagne bottles.
Yeah, fingers firmly crossed from him. 13 laps to go. Is it going to be a lucky 13 laps? Yeah, the body language of the car certainly suggests that they're taking care of their advantage as we see Sean Walkinshaw now. He's coming over the crest of the rise down towards the turn 11, the right-hander.
And here come the blue-on-blue Hondas. Cahin leading, Raybrig second. Are there team orders in that team? Well, here's the battle in GT300. The number 4 Hatsune Miku car, you can just see the Mercedes hunting down the back of the mother chassis GT86. That's a carbon fiber monocoque car with a 4.5 litre V8 normally aspirated engine in the front of it. And it is a very difficult car for guys to get past. It's a very different balance. The GT3 car works very differently. The Mercedes is doing everything it can to get past, but has to be so careful because that Porsche 911 is on the tail. Well, there are the championship standings as we see them on track. Taniguchi and Kataoka are in a nice position, but Gamu and Kurosawa in the 65 Mercedes are causing them problems. Last year's title winner, the VFAC 86, it's not been as competitive this year since a New Balance Performance came in.
Just looking at the championship standings, I was just thinking worst case scenario for Nob Taniguchi in the Hatsune Miku AMG if he did pick up a puncture.
Well, that's how you do it.
And we have seen cars puncture there today, Sam, as they come out of turn 4. If he did pick up a puncture, it would drop him out of championship contention, hence he's being so careful.
He needs to get into clean air though, because Jono Lester right there with the VVAC 86 right there, it'd be so easy for we've seen already with the GT500s how easy it is just for a catch-up trouble of a lapped car and lose your championship on that. We've seen James Rossiter lose his championship hopes with some unknown problem on the right rear of his Lexus.
Nobihiro Taniguchi then dropped a wheel at turn 8 as well. He's pushing very hard and he's taking a few more risks now. He needs to be careful.
Getting past that 25 car will essentially guarantee that Mercedes the championship, but he's got to be so careful because this is what I was talking about. Look, there's a GT500 car tucked in there trying to make the move. As Taniguchi tries to go around the outside, that's not going to work, and he's got to look out for Heikki Kovalainen, who really... It's not Kovalainen, of course, in that GT500, it's his teammate, but...
No, it is Kovalainen.
It is Kovalainen in there, so he didn't see Kovalainen coming, and because he was so busy having his own battle, and that has opened the gap up to the 25, but Jono Lester's right there in the Porsche. Will he make the difference? Yeah, I'd be grinding my teeth like that as well.
I thought that was a fantastic move from him, going around the outside potentially at turn 11. He lined it up beautifully, but yeah, Kovalainen got in the mix and it really cost him as they made their way sort of through and into the first sector. But he's already looked back on the back of the VVAC car.
The VVAC car just clearly isn't running as quickly as we know the Mercedes can do, and it looks like the Porsche's being held up as well. Back in the old days of Formula 1, it's what you might call a trolley train.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Jarno hasn't. And it's nearly contact between the number 4 and 25. The 25's lost it, the number 4's gone past. Is that trouble for the number 25? Must be.
That was very curious at turn 5. Almost looked like he'd missed a gear. Obviously, these cars running paddle change system, so you can't physically miss a gear shift like you can in a stick shift car. But yeah, very strange there. Very strange.
Yeah, they just dropped pace back there suddenly for just coming out of the corner. It didn't seem to accelerate. RJ O'Connell sending messages about the championship permutations over to us. If there was just some smoke off camera, I'm not sure what that was. If the 37 wins the championship, as it looks like is likely at the moment, they will be the youngest. Cassidy and Hirokawa will be the youngest champions in the history of GT500, which would be quite impressive. So that'll be a 4th title for GT500 title for the Toms team as well. So quite an impressive form for them, but there's still 10 laps to go here at Motegi, and if those final 10 laps are anything like the first 10 laps, who knows who's going to win this.
Pressure off now for Taniguchi, and pressure off for Hirokawa here. Look, just clean air behind, clean air in front. He's just going to be ticking off these final 10 laps.
Well, the Motor Law Tech GTR, Ronnie Quintarelli and Sugio Matsuda, has done all it could do to try and clinch the championship here at Motegi, leading the race by a big margin. That car has been super fast all weekend.
And super lucky, Sam, as well. Remember, that damage we saw at the start of the race, it looked like that left rear tyre was going to pick up a puncture almost immediately. But no, dodged a bullet, as I said before, and yeah, shown race-winning pace throughout the whole event, dominated qualifying, and has just driven into the distance today.
But it's still not enough, because that number 37 car of this man, who is looking a little bit nervous, understandably, Nick Cassidy, in line to win a championship in Super GT for the first time, and Red Bull's first Japanese championship, I think, because they missed out in Super Formula when that heavy rain washed out the final round of that championship at Suzuka. Actually, a landslide nearly took out a chunk of the track there in Sector 1. So quite right to cancel that race, but it meant Pierre Gasly missed out on the Super Formula Championship in his Red Bull branded car. So this is Red Bull's next attempt at trying to win a championship in Japan, and it's looking like it's going rather better.
Nice consistent lap times from Hirakawa. We saw his body language in the car was one of just backing it off, and the stopwatch suggests the same, and he's now lapping within a tenth of a second, about a second away from what that car's capable of doing. So very much just keeping an eye on the laps to go and taking care of the machinery.
Well, it's interesting to see quite a lot of these GT500 cars, Rob, have got damage on them, and there's no damage whatsoever on that number 37 car. It's even clean. It looks like it's just, you know, come out of the showroom, so to speak. This car does have damage on. The race leader, number 1 Motul Ortec GTO, and as you see it turn into the corner, you see the whole left rear of the bodywork is missing, the lower edge of the diffuser, but it doesn't seem to be slowing the car down at all.
No, missing now for 53 laps. It's or 40, was it 43 laps?
43, but it will have been missing for 53 because it's
missing since before the start of the race. And yeah, you can see that whole structure behind the left rear wheel just not there.
But the lap times are still very, very competitive. Now, these are the lap times. Interestingly, if the DTM cars were doing 1 minute 44s, they're still 2 seconds off a lap off these cars in race pace. And Matt's so far off in
Matsuda's last lap, though. He's dropped into the 45s now for the very first time. So maybe those Michelins are starting to go away. We'll have to keep a gap. Have to keep track of the gap between the Keeper Tom's car now in second and our race leader, because if those Michelins, which were so fast in qualifying and so fast in the first part of the race, are now starting to go away, that could play into the hands of Hirakawa here.
That gap was 11 seconds, 11.4 seconds between first and second, so a substantial gap, and probably enough to keep the two in the same positions you see. In GT300, things could change rather more. There's third position in GT500. Ishihara in the Zenitsurumo car. We thought that car might get a penalty early in the race, but didn't seem to.
I just saw a gaggle of GT300 cars, which our race leader will have just made his way through. So that's the reason for the 1 minute 45 lap time. And there we see the...
that was Mintzilla.
Mintzilla
in the wrong place.
Resting in the gravel at turn 10.
Well, that was an interesting interlude there from one of the GT300 Nissan GTR GT3s, the green one, which is called Mintzilla. We hopefully will be seeing the new specification Nissan GTR GT3 in Super GT next year, but no announcements of that expected till February.
Yeah, the new GT3 cars just starting to make their way into the marketplace. We saw, as you said earlier, the launch of the new Bentley this week. They'll be starting to trickle through now with a view to selling those cars in the open market and supplying them to teams to run in this series.
And here you have leading the field is a car that hasn't performed wonderfully since it first came to Super GT, the BMW GT3, but it seems to be working here.
And the M6, of course, M6 now, its life coming to the end. That's soon to be replaced by the 8 Series BMW, so we're going to see a racing version of that before too long as well.
I think it's already in testing, isn't it? It's due to race at Le Mans next year, the GTE specification. This GT3 car, I thought the GT3 car was actually going to continue a little bit longer.
I think it will continue one more year, but the gap between GTE and GT3 now becoming much more a day or two in the workshop rather than a completely different car, so the cars can swap between spec now.
A real shame for, well, all of us watching this actually, was that the World Endurance Championship race at Fuji Speedway was so wet that we can't get any realistic comparisons of the relative pace of GT300 and 500 against GTE Pro and LMP1 and LMP2.
Yeah, it is a shame, because the Super GT GT500 cars, Sam, they are so fast, they are so efficient, they're so quick. They haven't got a huge amount of power, only 650 horsepower, but the aero, the mechanical grip, the fact it's a tyre battle. Speaking of battles, the blue Hondas continue, but no, the GT500 cars, they are just so fast.
When you compare, when you realise that, I was trying to visualise this on the way in this morning, and just thinking about a lap in an Indy car around Motegi,
being 2 seconds slower than the car that's leading this race.
And just imagine you were the driver of, if that Dallara Indy car, and you're absolutely on it, and then just blatting past you is this huge GT500 car going at that sort of speed against a big single-seater is just incredible. Social Meow is asking, we'd love some onboard during these super tense moments in the race. So would we, actually.
Yeah. Well, we'd love it.
Yeah, I'd like to see an onboard from the Raybrig right now, looking at these two Hondas battling. And well, I'd love to get a bit of team radio, that even though it would be in Japanese, I'd like to hear the tone of voice between these two, because they really need to. Well, they're going to wreck or.
Yeah, considering we saw the Raybrig car pull to the right coming out of turn 4 and let the Cahin car come by, ever since that's happened, he's been on the back like a madman. The only thing we haven't seen is a flash of the lights, but the body language of the car is so aggressive behind.
He hasn't actually had a lunge yet, though. I mean, it looks like he wants to, but he hasn't actually had a lunge up the inside or the outside anywhere yet.
Oh, look, 7 to go. We've got plenty of time to go for a desperate lunge.
You can see the drivers with the sun getting quite low in the sky here in Motegi. You can see the drivers' helmets. RJ O'Connell's talking about Nob Taniguchi, who went from being a street racer to a freelance journalist to a garage mechanic, turned professional at age 30, and now is about to get a record equaling third title in GT300. There's a brilliant article by RJ O'Connell on Super GT World about the history of Nob Taniguchi, going, you know, how he ended up being this Super GT star. And everyone calls him Nob. His full name he never uses, because NOB, no one better, he says it stands for.
Oh, there you go. I read up on him when he came to do the Spa 24 Hours, and as RJ's just pointed out, what a fascinating character. Real old school Japanese street racer first and foremost, and yeah, has gone on to compete around the world, and as he rightly points out, closing in on his third title.
And he's driving an Itasha car, Itasha, the embarrassing, painfully embarrassing cars with the Hatsune Miku livery. There is the very deranged Wacos car, so they never bothered fixing the Wacos car.
No, still going. They must be, the race organisers must be happy that the vision isn't impaired and that bonnet isn't going to come up any further. But yeah, they've had damage since right at the start of the race.
Coxan Maton asks, which do you think is faster, current GT500 or 90s GT1? Current GT500 that's an easy answer.
Yeah, easy.
There's not much that has been before that is quicker than a current GT500.
Le Mans lap time, it wouldn't be far away from a P1 really, would it?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually at Fuji Speedway, 2014 pace, I believe, the Audi R18s rather, were slower than the GT500s in the same conditions. Though the LMP1s have got quicker since, and we haven't had and there's been rule changes in both series, so we haven't actually been able to do a direct comparison this year, so we'll have to wait till next year to do that, if there's any LMP1s left next year. There is damage on the front of the Raybrig car, you know.
Is there?
Yeah, now I was just looking at the front of these two Hondas, these two blue Hondas, and if you look at the front of the Cahin, you can see the nice bonnet is bolted down quite nicely, but then you look at the back of the Raybrig, you see the bonnet is bouncing around, and there is carbon fibre flying off the Raybrig.
Flapping around,
there has been contact somewhere between the Raybrig and the Cahin, and there is damage on the front end of that Raybrig NSX. As joining the fight is Satoshi Motoyama. It's battle for 4th position. Now that car's on the Michelin tyres, and he's basically been slowly catching up with these two Hondas. That could get quite spicy, as could this battle for 6th and 7th in GT300. Hironaka in the Gainer AMG, chasing down Tsuboi in the JMS Lexus.
And not only are these guys competing for points, as we mentioned earlier, they're competing to make the right impression. Going into the winter layover, the drivers are keen to just leave the best impression they can on their team manager. They'll be soon making decisions on who they're going to employ next year, and if you have a brilliant last race, that's the one that everybody's going to remember. So these last 5 laps coming around to 4 laps shortly will be be fraught, particularly for this man, Sean Walkinshaw.
Now, he's got a little bit of a gap back to the next GT300 car. There it is, the Leon Mercedes. But Leon Mercedes is hunting him down, as you can see on your screens. Is it going to be enough? I'm not sure. It should be close at the finish. 4 to go for the GT500 cars, of course. And however many laps the GT300 cars have to cover in that time.
Yeah, he's going to catch him. Looking at how the lap times are coming down, he's about a second a lap quicker. And now he's got him in sight with nobody in between. So,
well, it looks like it's going to be a German GT3 car on the top step of the podium. The question is, which one? Yeah. Is it going to be 66, 65 or 55? And as you can see here on your screen, look at how that gap is coming down. The Leon car on its Bridgestone tyres is really making best out of that BMW, that much larger car.
Different lines into the hairpin. Sean Walkinshaw diving in, making a V out of the corner.
He's losing a lot of time now, isn't he?
Yeah, possibly struggling with the front end of that car, just losing a bit of grip from his tyres as they come down towards the final sector. All quite tight and technical down here. Again, we're going to see that gap coming down further, Sam.
I heard somebody locking up into that corner. That's what I was just listening. You could have that very telltale sound of a lock-up where anyone who's raced or spent a lot of time at racetracks sort of goes quiet for a moment after, just to wait to hear if there's a bang or not. But there wasn't. In Super GT there are so many cars we don't actually get to see all of the incidents on track. We didn't ever discover what happened to Mintzilla or all in the Subaru, other than they just decided to take an alternate route around Motegi. Interesting track if you're travelling to Motegi ever. If you go at the right time of day, you can take a steam train.
A steam train? Who doesn't love a steam train? So, 3 laps to go now, and this is the battle for the lead. If the black Mercedes were to take the lead,
which is about to,
they'd still be behind in the championship, wouldn't they? Yes.
It's essentially irrelevant because Hatsune Miku is in 3rd position.
As long as he finishes on the podium, everything else is
moot.
Yeah.
Great comment coming in saying who was that from? From Daniel Davidson. I think he's from the Netherlands, or David So in the Netherlands. But anyway, he says he loves how they don't bring out safety cars just for debris here in Super GT, and it creates brilliant racing. But if you like this sort of racing you're seeing on the screen, as the Leon Mercedes tries to get around the outside of Sean Walkinshaw and doesn't succeed, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll bring you lots more of this. And of course, there is almost 2.5 seasons worth of this action now on Super GT on Nismo TV, and lots of behind the scenes videos. You can tune in. And there's just lots of wonderfulness here on this channel, and we hope to bring you loads more about. In fact, we know we're going to bring you loads more about, because next up in a couple of weeks is Nismo Festival.
I was just going to say Nismo Festival coming up. There's going to be a huge amount of footage on the internet of that, and some iconic cars taking part, as this scrap now is genuinely nose to tail with what will this be for them? About 2.5 laps to go, I guess.
Look at this, side by side against the pit wall. That's all getting a bit tight, isn't it? Squeezing him up against the pit wall. There will be an argument about that between them. But he gets the move done and up into 1st position in class. Gamu gets the move on Walkinshaw. Can Walkinshaw hang on? There is the race leader, the Motor Lawtech GTR. And there's a man in a cap.
Hiroki Kurosawa, ex-British Formula 3 driver. And that's the teammate of Sean Walkinshaw.
He didn't have a cap. But look, because of the Motor Lawtech GTR just being there at that moment, the Leon Mercedes now has got Sean Walkinshaw on his tail. Now, is he going to let this one go? I don't think he will, but has he got the pace to take the fight back to the Mercedes? 2 to go.
No,
and some quite large chunks of bodywork off the side of the track.
I wonder if that was a large chunk of
I think that
Honda.
Was yes, I think that was a big bit of Honda. It was the right colour. And
that car's been conspicuous by its absence today. Not that one, the one in front of it.
Yes, the Honda, the 16 Honda.
Yeah, the 16 Honda. We saw quite a lot of it at the Suzuka race. I can't think why.
It was kept on getting penalties.
Yeah.
So we're panning back to 2nd position, and the TV camera nearly missed it. There he is. Ryo Hirakawa, 2 to go. And if he finishes like it is, he gets a champion. It's the front end of the Wacos. Now we get a great look at what a GT500 car looks like under the skin.
So it was blue, but it wasn't a Honda. It was the front right quarter of an LC500.
That car is slowly dismantling itself like an old NASCAR back in the 90s. What you can just about see is the intake and the plenum of the tiny little 4-cylinder 2-litre turbocharged engine that kicks out about 650 brake horsepower. Customer version of that engine is going to become available to anyone who wants one in 2019 and 2020. It'll be interesting to see where that engine ranks up.
And mounted so low down in the car as well, well behind the front wheels, right the way down. And here we see the bonnet. Yes,
well, that's got to be a scary moment for the driver. He didn't back off though, to his credit.
No, the distorted airflow from the car in front.
That's going to make a great souvenir for somebody.
Coming soon to eBay.
I'd have it. Well, it'll probably be the shopping channel with a slightly scorched Lamborghini.
Last lap now for our race leader. Fantastic job from the Ortec team today.
Yeah, the Motul Ortec Nismo team have been craving a win this year. They've been close all through the year and just been slightly unlucky. But that Michelin shod car has been untouchable here at Motegi. And Nissan takes its first and will be only, hopefully, victory this year. But there will be a guaranteed victory for Nissan in 2 weeks' time at Fuji Speedway in the Nismo Grand Prix, the final race of the season for GT500 and GT300, and it's an all Nissan GTR affair. But there is the car that is going to take the championship with just a few corners to go. The Lexus LC500 of Nick Cassidy and Ryo Hirakawa in championship winning position. But here we go, crossing the line for the final time here at Motegi. Nismo wins. The Motul Ortec GTR takes victory, but taking the championship, the youngest ever driver is the Red Bull Toms, Keeper Toms Lexus LC500. That car has looked like it's going to be in championship winning form all year. Winning GT300 is that Leon Mercedes, second position Sean Walkinshaw, but here coming up to take the championship in GT300, it is the Hatsune Miku Team Good Smile, Team Ukyo Racing with Good Smile Mercedes AMG GT.
That's easy for you to say. Congratulations to the Keeper Toms team, worthy winners of the championship, but the Nismo Motul 23 car did all it could do this weekend, and the race went down to, well, the final few corners of the final race, and yeah, delight there from Cassidy.
Now, yeah, it's delight at the moment. Then he's going to realise he's got to open a bottle of champagne, and then it'll look like dread. You'll see it on the podium. Stay tuned for the podiums here from Motegi. We'll follow it all the way through, and if you've never watched the Super GT podium, you're in for a treat, and something slightly different to what you're used to in Europe or indeed anywhere else in the world that isn't Japan. Huge emotion there in the car from Ryo Hirakawa. You can see the way he's feeling. He's thumping the steering wheel with both hands. He's a very happy boy. We'll be back on Nismo TV in 2 weeks' time, though. Don't miss it. The Nismo Festival. Some stunning metal lined up and carbon fibre lined up for that event at Fuji Speedway, and the highlight of it all, the Nismo Grand Prix. It is the final race of the season for GT500 and GT300, and you absolutely have to tune in for it. We'll have it live and in full here on Nismo TV, so hit like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned right now for the full podium ceremonies, and we will get some interview from Nick Cassidy in English straight away as soon as their cars get back to the Parc Fermé and they work out where to put the podium, which always takes a while at Motegi. Because the start-finish straight is so wide, they just never work out where the podium is. We'll also have comment and feedback from the drivers in the Motul Ortec GTR, though that will be in Japanese, so we can only guess at what they say. And the same for the Hatsune Miku Good Smile Mercedes. I don't think Hatsune Miku herself will make an appearance.
I'm hoping, changing the subject slightly, that we get a close-up of the back of the car that we're looking at here, just to see the extent of the damage that happened as the cars came round turn 14 to take the start of the race, because that was a big hit, and it was rubbing very aggressively on the rear bumper until whatever it was came away. Sorry, rubbing on the rear tyre until whatever it was came away.
If we don't get a picture of it on the screen, which I'm sure we will actually, but if we don't get a picture of it on the screen, we'll certainly put it out on social media, because the amount of damage on the back end of that number 23 car from that first, not even the lap, nothing.
Yeah.
The pace lap crash. and to go on and win the race. I mean, that's a solid piece of engineering, that Motor-Tech GTR. The car that suffered from it was the Wacos Lexus, which we saw the damage finally put paid to that car, and it will reappear somewhere on the start-finish straight with half the car coming in. So, Rob, full season of Super GT done, barring the Nismo Festival. What's your favourite race?
Oh, see, I'm old and traditional, and for me, it's this championship will always be about a race at Suzuka, whether it's a 1,000-kilometre race, whether it's a 10-hour race, or whatever it might be. An endurance race at Suzuka, for me, sums up Japanese GT, or now Super GT. So, no, my favourite race was Suzuka.
For me, discounting perhaps the first 8 and 9 laps of this race and all the Honda versus Honda, there is the champion for GT300 for Hatsune Miku. I'd actually say it'd be Thailand, mainly because I actually got to watch it and not talk about it.
Yeah, no, Thailand was a great race. For me, I'll always remember Thailand for Jan Mardenborough running out of fuel, or Jan Mardenborough's teammate running out of fuel. Mardenborough's in-lap to go purple box was stunning, absolutely stunning. And to think where he's come from.
And the heartbreak for Mardenborough as well when he failed to win it. But here we go. There is your champion of Super GT 2017. It's Ryo Hirakawa getting out of the Keeper Tom's Lexus LC500. That car has been dominant since its introduction at the start of this season, but Nissan will fight back next year. It is certain. The GTR is clearly got pace in it still. Fastest car by miles here. Nissan have got the measure of Lexus,
which they didn't at the start of the year. You
Absolutely.
know, they've fought back as a team over the season, and done a great job to win here today at the final race. And the early season complete dominance of Lexus has now been broken.
There you go. There is the Champions Trophy for Nob Taniguchi there, with his finger up. He knows he's in first position. If that's the trophy you get for winning, it's nice, and I mean, you're a champion and stuff, but it's a bit see-through.
Yeah, I'm not convinced about Nob Taniguchi's choice of cap. I'm a big fan of his teammate's cap. That's a strong cap. The peak etiquette going on the left there, much better than the one on the right. Look at that for peak etiquette.
I mean, that is very good. That is very good. But he's got a badge on his hat. Yokohama 100 on it.
Sounds like the name of a race.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a good race. First ever motor race in Japan was held near Yokohama. Was it? On a riverbank. The bits of the circuit are still there. I went past there a few weeks ago, and of course it was won by a Nissan. We'll be bringing you some footage of that race on Nismo TV over the winter. But there is Nick Cassidy banging in the bonnet of that Lexus LC500. Big smiles on his face. He is the champion of GT500. And there's going to be a rather large party, I suspect, in Shinagawa this evening, if he even gets that far. Looking at the champion GT500. And we're just trying to work out if we've got the full sound for the interview. We're listening. It sounds like we've got sound for the interview. So I'm just going quiet to hear what Nick's saying. And you hear the photographers shouting at the drivers, put your finger up. They actually get told to put one finger up. That is something the photographers will say. Put your finger up, Nick. Look at the camera. And we may well get Excitable Girl or her friend in a minute with a TV camera. I can see Excitable Man. And here we are. Here comes the interviews. And our first question will be to Nick Cassidy by the look of it. So you've won the championship, Nick. How do you feel? I feel happy, is what he'll say. Do you
think he'll want to thank a few people?
Maybe his teammate. His teammate's got bored and wandered off.
Nick, congratulations. Arigatou gozaimasu. Woo! Hey, I don't know what to say, man. This is unreal. This is unreal.
It is quite real, Nick, and you're going to have to get used to it, being GT500 champion now for the whole of next season.
But you made a great job at the beginning of the race. Thank you. You know, Thailand and here we had such big pressure. Rio and I, we've been good all year, so we knew today we had to do a normal job, and we had good confidence in our speed. So the start was tricky, but then I could make a good gap to P3. That was our target, and tough to watch the last 30.
So there you go, the Thailand race you can watch here on Nismo TV, and there was a super tense battle between Nick Cassidy and Jan Mardenborough in the opening. That's what Rob was just talking about, and we'll hear from Hirakawa in a moment when he stopped chatting to Nick. And well, he's just going to feed back the same sort of comments that he's very happy to have won, isn't it great? And well, he's not very interested in doing this interview, is he, clearly? Oh, he's going to open a can of Red Bull. There you go. Corporate, Mr. Corporate. You know, if I just got out of a GT500 car, won a championship, the last thing I want to be drinking is Red Bull.
Depends who's paying your wages, Sam. Yeah, if I was thinking about tapping out my invoice for my end of season bonus and things like that, I'd drink anything. Drink anything.
There you have it, everybody. If you want to make Rob drink something unlikely, just give him bonus. So the interview here, that's not actually said very much yet.
It's amazing to see how young he is, isn't he? When you see him in the car and he drives like a seasoned veteran, but when you see his body language out of the car and how uncomfortably he is doing this, he's still very young.
But look how calm he is as well. You're right, he's uncomfortable. He's visibly uncomfortable, but he's so calm. Doesn't even look sweaty.
No.
Got out of a...
Yeah, when he took his crash helmet off, just dry hair.
Now there's the man who pays his wages. That's Sakia-san. Has some form at Le Mans, I believe.
Yeah, he's done a bit.
Yeah. Happy. Happy. Obviously. So, yeah, they're just telling us that they're very happy and it's been a close season and things have gone well, obviously. No caps really going on here, though. Not, there was some the driver's caps, but no. Sakia-san's a bit too old and sort of civilized.
Formal.
Yeah. Of course, if you're wondering what these comments are that he's making, we'd stick them up on social media, but honestly, they're not that interesting. So there will be formal comments that you get in all the press releases, and Toyota will probably put one out tomorrow. Nissan certainly will have it out today. Paul Ryan firing out the press releses for Nismo around the world. Are we going to hear from Nick again? No. Okay, get excitable girl. Talking to Nobu Taniguchi and the team, and there's Ukyo Katayama. So first up was Nobu Taniguchi. He's happy to be a champion. Thank you. That was informative.
Yes, the strong cap has been replaced by the corporate cap
with the badge, the Yokohama badge.
Lovely bit of embroidery. It's like raised embroidery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice attention to detail from Yokohama.
It is. I think it was the Schumacher brothers that first introduced that to racing in the 90s. They had those very chunky embroidered caps with the raised embroidery. Previously, everyone just had it printed on.
So two-dimensional.
I know. There's always the Schumachers going that extra step. Well, that's obviously gone around the world now. Yokohama have gone to that route. So Kataoka is very happy. Didn't put a very long stint in, 18 laps I think it was.
No, very early stint. They gambled, and for a while it looked like it hadn't paid off, but no, Nobu Taniguchi did a great job once he'd settled down. So I'd love to know what the problem was that he had when he first came out of the pits. Which is probably what he's explaining now. Yes, I dropped my wallet or something, and I was fishing around in the footwell to get it.
Yeah, that's pretty much I think what's going. I think he's pointing out it's still in. I think Kataoka is pointing out it's still in the car. Well, let's hear from team boss Ukyo Katayama. Busy from crashing Tyrrells and Hyman Mountains. He's definitely happy.
I
wonder if he could. I wonder how quick he'd be if you put him in the car.
He'd still be on it.
I reckon he'd still have it.
Yeah. A driver of his quality, you lose a little bit of out-and-out pace, but no, he was exceptionally fast in his day, and yeah, I'm sure he'd still be right there in a car like the AMG GT3.
That'll be interesting to see. Well, Excitable Girl says, well done, champions, GT300. I think there's quite a few happy people on the chat that Hatsune Miku has got the title.
Yeah, that'll be a hugely popular victory in Japan.
Well, there's a nice skyline shot. We're going to come up to the podium in a minute when they found it. But there is the provisional result of this race at Motegi. The Motor GTR took victory. Keeper Tom's LC500 took the championship. Lexus were third. There's two battling Hondas, fourth and fifth. The S-Road Motor GTR, probably a bit disappointed to be down in sixth. The Calsonic Blue Car in seventh. The Denso Kobelco Sard LC500, last year's champion, no longer entitled to that number one, are in 8th position, and in 9th was the Alta NSX. There are the other cars that finished the race. 15 laps down the Wedsport Advan LC500. Didn't actually get it to the finish, I don't think. And the AU Toms LC500, James Rossiter, 11 laps down after
they must
that,
have lost
that problem.
10 laps in the pits.
In GT300, it was the Leon Mercedes that took victory, just a few laps from the finish. The Alta BMW, second position. The Hatsune Miku, third position, good enough to take the championship. The Golf Porsche was fourth. Vivac 86 ended up in fifth. That obviously had some problems there, car. It dropped back down. The first of the Lexus GT3s was in sixth. Bjorn Wertheim's Gainer Tanax AMG was in seventh. The Audi R8 8th, and the D-Station Porsche in 9th. There's the other finishes in GT300. The Shopping Channel Lamborghini was not the one that caught fire, of course. It was the 88 Lamborghini that caught fire with Max Orido at the wheel, the teammate car. And there are some nice shots of the skyline. There is the championship standings at the finish. Just 2 points at the end between the Keeper Tom's LC500. Ryo Hirakawa and Nick Cassidy take the championship, just edging out Sugio Matsuda and Ronnie Quintarelli in the Motul Ortec Nismo GTR. Third position was Oshima and Caldarelli in the title some way adrift. James Rossiter on his own, down in fifth with Nakajima, his teammate, who skipped around in one place behind. There is the rest of them. Slightly disappointing again for the S-Road Motor GTR, 12th position, only 29th point on the board, but they've had some problems through the season, those crashes earlier on. And there is the GT300 table. Quite a strong victory there for Hatsune Miku ahead of Kurosawa and Gamu. Gamu putting in a really strong performance, but just not quite enough to take the title. Nakayama and Tsuboi in third position. And as you look down the list, you'll see Max Orido in the number 88 Lamborghini. That's the one that caught fire. 28 points wasn't good enough to change the championship standings for them.
Great to see that the both series, the championship points table is so close together. No dominant winner. Nobody looking really. Nobody looking really like they've walked away with it.
Questions still coming in about what's coming up here on Nismo TV. Here's the teams championship standing. So Good Smile Racing have taken the teams championship. It has a different scoring system to the drivers championship, confusingly, but there you go. That was the teams championship on the screens. Questions coming about what's coming up in the Nismo Festival. Well, Lexus Keeper Tom's has taken the title in GT500 and Nismo second, as is probably worked out because that's the same as the drivers. At the Nismo Festival, there is going to be some great driver action. Chio-san will be at the wheel, is the question that came in, as will Jan Mardenborough, as will a few others. I'm not sure all the cars and drivers have been formally announced yet, so I'm reluctant to disclose much more about what is in the Nismo Festival. Suffice to say, if you watched last year's event, you'll realise it's absolutely fantastic to see. Now, they've really taken quite a long time at finding the podium here at Motegi. Yeah, so stay tuned. We will have a podium.
Thinking of the Nismo Festival, I think if you follow the hashtag NisMoments, there's like a countdown to the Nissan Festival where things will be formally announced, just not leaked badly by you and I.
Exactly. Well, we know Jan Mardenborough's going to be doing it, and no Chio's going to be doing it.
Well, we do now, because you've just said that.
Well, they're also GT500 drivers, and in the Nismo Grand Prix, all the GT500 cars take part. So we know that all the GT500 drivers will be driving in the Nismo Grand Prix.
Are we allowed to say that the new GTRs are going to be there or not?
No, because we don't know whether it is or not.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, good. Okay. I tried to push you under a bus then, but you weren't having it.
I don't know. I haven't seen the car list at all. No. But yes, it's been a fantastic season, and RJ O'Connell's just said, "Oh, thanks for this great season here on Super GT." Well, thank you, RJ O'Connell. You're doing some great stuff yourself with the launch of Super GT World and how that's grown. That's been fantastic to see. And if you like Super GT through the winter, we're going to have loads of great content here on Nismo TV, and eventually we'll have a podium. It might be winter by the time the podium turns up here at Motegi, but we're sticking with this because we will have the highlights reel probably for the whole season, and then usually they play something a little special at the end of this final race. But yeah, RJ O'Connell, here we go. Here's the 2018 schedule for Super GT, starting at Okayama. Fuji Speedway, second round. Suzuka is the third round. That's a shorter race.
Weird, doesn't it?
Chang International, Thailand in the middle of the year. That'll be wet. Fuji Speedway, fifth round, then Sugo, then Autopolis, and then the finale will be here at Twin Ring Motegi. That is a quite different looking calendar.
It seems so strange to see Suzuka now round 3. Normally that's in the autumn of our season, and as you say, gone is the Suzuka 1000 kilometers now, Sam.
But replacing it is that round 5 Fuji Speedway. It's a long distance race at Fuji now, much longer than the race we had before, and that will be interesting to see how that's different. Long distance racing at Fuji would be quite spicy. Phil Conley, nice comments coming in. Thank you very much. We're not going anywhere because they found the podium.
Oh, here we go. Thank goodness.
Look at those white bits of tape. This is where people are supposed to stand. I can see Nick Cassidy. He's found the podium now. Let's not forget, Nick Cassidy has problems with squirting a bit too early or a bit too late, or not being able to squirt at all when it comes to the champagne bottles. So we'll see how he gets past it. He hasn't actually successfully sprayed champagne in the right manner this season.
Well, now pressure's on as the championship winner. The pressure's on for him to squirt at the right moment.
So is this little girl going to give the flowers as she received the flowers? It's hard to know. This little girl's quite happy about being, a bit shocked and happy about being on TV with her flowers. Who's going to get the flowers, do you think? Because that's better than the trophy.
I'd like to think that she's been given the flowers. There's something wrong about a young lady giving Nick Cassidy a bunch of flowers.
Who knows? It might not be for Nick Cassidy.
It might not be.
She might be a Hirakawa fan, or
nice precision standing from the gentleman.
Exactly, that tape's working. Mr. Orange Jackets.
Gentleman on the left, and a nice attention to detail to put the young ladies in height order.
Oh yes, I think that's very well done, isn't it? Now, that is impressive detail. Now, Mr. Orange Jacket seems to have found some hair product because he's got a bit more colour in his hair than he had earlier on today.
I couldn't possibly comment.
You can wind the video back and check. I mean, definitely is. That's good stuff like that. So stay tuned. We have got this podium ceremony coming up. Honestly, that's what this man's telling us. There is a podium ceremony. It's written on my clipboard, he says. And really, please, drivers, will you come along? And I'm checking to see who the drivers are, he says. And who's first? It'll be GT300 first. Well, probably. So he's got there, standing on the side of the podium, and Mr. Orange Jacket's waiting very patiently. Oh, the girls are they've changed formation. And I can see Nick Cassidy making. Oh, that's Hirakawa back. Oh, here we go. It's the GT300 drivers with a double flag strategy there for the Lyon winners. They look absolutely ecstatic to be there on the top step of the podium, don't they? Huge smiles from both of them.
Barely able to control the emotion.
I know. I mean, this is how you do it. There's Sean Walking-Cho giving a big smile. He's happier than the winners. Yet he was second. Look how tall he is compared to the other chaps. That's got to be quite difficult for the drivers. But here you go. Here are the champions. Here are the guys who are really happy. The Team Good Smile drivers. Shake of the hand. And Hatsune Miku, obviously not making a personal appearance here, but we will get a new Racing Miku paint job next year. That'll be good to see.
We will.
And there is Mr. Orange Jacket and two of his friends. And they're going to be presented with. Oh, that's a good trophy.
Oh, that's a strong trophy. That's a strong, isn't it?
Big base. Big base. See, the trophies have improved this year, haven't they? I think. None of these tiny ones that they had at a certain track, or the ridiculously large one that had at another track. So yeah, I'd be happy to take that trophy home. That's a trophy you could pour your sparkling sake in and drink out of, isn't it?
You could.
And oh, there's a third place trophy. It says third place on it. So there's a lot of bass though. It's more bass than trophy. And all that bass, it reminds me of my youth and sort of music I used to listen to. I like those Good Smile Racing flags. I'd like to see an Natasha GTR next year.
That'd look good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean Mintzilla's pretty cool, but I'd like to see a full-on.
It's a basket of hay.
No,
Well
it's
done.
a bag of rice.
Oh, is it rice?
It's a bag of rice. They've won a very large bag of rice.
Oh, there's bags of rice all round.
Rice all round.
They've all won rice.
Actually, last year when Bjorn Wertheim won a bag of rice, he poured his sparkling sake on it and let it go and then ate it, and apparently he was very ill.
Oh no.
But you shouldn't cook rice with sake. Oh, look at that. Oh, one man. Very popular drivers, very popular team there at Good Smile Racing. Great flag technique there for the number 4. And is anyone going to shout at them?
Oh, more trophies. Barely contain my excitement. Here we go. Mr. Orange Jacket stepping forwards.
It's a special. There's a weird siren going off. Not quite sure what that's about, but here, have the Autobacks trophy. It's very nice, honestly. Turn it around so we can see the sponsors logo. Ah, there you go. Well executed. Now, are they going to be able to do both trophies? Because that big base trophy looks quite heavy. And the rice.
Hiroki Kurosawa smiled and waved his flag.
Oh, well, he's realised he won a race. He probably forgot about that. And now the next man up will present a scratch card, perhaps?
That is a very strange siren in the background, isn't it?
That is a new development. Siren. Oh, it's the photos now. Trophies. Now let's see the winners. They can only do the one trophy. Oh, it's a bit heavy, isn't it? Oh, they're worried about that.
You know,
there was real concern on the face.
There's a photographer somewhere going, lift your rice. Yeah. Lift the rice. We can't lift the rice. Flag in one hand, trophy in the other.
Yeah, that's my photographer walking across the top of the screen.
You have your own photographer?
Yes.
Oh, you're so smooth.
Oh, it nearly went. That was nearly. Walkinshaw nearly lost it. He nearly.
I'm so embarrassed on his behalf.
Yeah. That was poor.
Podium disaster.
That would have gone down in the podium highlights reel for sure.
Fortunately, if he'd have dropped the trophy, it would have landed on a cushion of rice.
Yeah, but then the rice would have spilt out everywhere, and it would be a rice disaster. I think it's probably quite nice rice.
My life has taken a surreal twist.
That's good double trophy. I don't know. I mean, I hope that siren isn't anything too
serious.
Yeah.
At this circuit that was damaged by a earthquake many years ago.
Not that many years ago. Oh, here comes the sake. Sparkling sake. Something we've never actually managed to try before. Oh, somebody's talking to us. Don't know who that was. Right. So if you think this is good, there's more of this to come. GT500, and we've got Nick. Oh, look, they've pre-opened them. The sparkling sake is pre-opened. See, Cassidy's put in a request.
Somebody's told Hiroki Kurosawa to smile now because he's now got a fixed grin on his face.
That's it. Now, so Cassidy's got it really easy for him. Oh, they're spraying the officials. They got told off for that. The GTA man was pointing at saying, "Stop that." So we'll see. There's more to come, so stay tuned. Sake and rice, you got yourself a meal, says Tom S. Yes, you do. And that's good quality sake they're spraying about the place. Really smells when it's not as bad as champagne when you sprayed it, but it really does smell, this sparkling sake. And good to see your comments. I might not be able to respond to your comments for much longer because I only got 7% of my battery left. I suddenly realised I didn't plug in the computer when I got here.
Just a little insight for you there, folks.
Yeah.
Again, hashtag commentator problems.
7% should get us through the GT500 podium and hopefully up to the wrap-up at the end of the show. It should be a season wrap-up, a little bit of a season review. And but don't forget, hit like and subscribe for more of this rice and sake malarkey here on Nismo TV.
Rice and sake malaki, everybody.
And
look at that bag of rice.
We will be. Look at that. That is a hero shot with all that rice. He's taking that home. He's going to eat that for a year. Feed the team for that.
I'm going to be. I'm quite interested to see whether the GT500 drivers are going to get the same sized bag of rice, or whether they're going to get a proportionally larger bag of rice.
Look at that slow-mo spray.
A super slow-mo of sparkling. So it goes a long way, doesn't it?
Straight up that one went. Yeah, the Leon driver just got it straight up. I don't know what VTR stands for, other than an old Citroen Saxo. Not quite sure what that's got to do with anything.
I think it was the 8 valve, wasn't it? The VTS was the 16 valve.
That's right, yeah. Cheekage.
There you go. Oh, lovely bit of sprinting from the man.
Yeah, fast as you can go. You're running away from the rice. He must be scared of rice or something. Oh, he stopped.
Very disappointed in him. Oh, he's just picking up
a bit of marble.
Rubber.
There you go. He's got rubber now.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, lovely couple selfie there on the exit. That's going to be on there. Like, that's going to be their wedding day photo. Where did you take? Where did you go on your honeymoon? Motegi. So how long have you been divorced for?
Great to see the fans wandering around collecting mementos. I noticed the bonnet of the Wacos car it's already appeared on eBay. Long gone out of the gravel trap.
Japan isn't that big on eBay. There's something else, and I can't remember what it was called, but they have an alternate to eBay sometimes. But here we go, GT500 podium, and it's Gerhard Berger.
Yeah, Gerhard Berger, a very distinctive figure there on the right.
Mr. Lanky Austrian. So Gerhard Berger here to present the A trophy. There's Ronnie Quintarelli, Sugo Matsuda, the Motul Ortec GTR drivers. Massively strong victory for the Nissan GTR here at Motegi.
Massive weekend for them. That qualifying performance for me, I'll remember that for a long, long time.
And the car was essentially untouchable even after it was heavily touched by the Wacos Lexus. But here are your champions, the Keeper Tom's Lexus Red Bull team. Nick Cassidy, he of the champagne problems. Double flag strategy from both of them. We have a Nismo flag.
Only a single one.
We have a single flag strategy, you see. We have that exact same spec flag for a victory. You see it on the studio camera. There you go. We have victory here at Nissan. Oh, bad flagging for me. That was very bad. You've got to do figure 8, you see, to make it work. That's what Marshall told me once.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, see, figure 8 and it doesn't wrap itself around the pole. Mr. Orange Jacket, he doesn't look too enthusiastic. Gerhard Berger looks very enthusiastic.
Mr. DTM Jacket.
Yeah, Mr. DTM Jacket. Nice puffer jacket there. Available in good shops in Hockenheim, apparently. Ronnie Quintarelli smiles and says, yeah, you've got really slow cars in Germany, haven't you? And the big smile from Ronnie, big smile from Sugo Matsuda. We'll be hearing from both of those exclusively here on Nismo TV in a couple of weeks at the Nismo Festival. The last time we did that, my interview with Sugo Matsuda didn't really have many comments from Sugo. He didn't actually speak at all. I just screamed a lot. And everybody else is saying it's Yahoo Auctions is what everybody uses in Japan for eBay. Of course they do. That's exactly what it is. And that's quite a small trophy for third place.
Relatively disappointing.
Gerhard Berger doesn't quite know where to go. Go back to your marks, Gerhard. Nice trainers. Do you think they're DTM trainers?
Oh, they're definitely branded sneakers, yeah.
Yeah. Very natty. You have to wear bright shirts and bright trainers. Oh, here comes the bag of rice. The girl can barely pick up that bag of rice, you know. It's a lot of rice.
And a small girl.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, how many people could that rice feed? I wonder if there might be some left when we get there.
It is. It's the same. It's the same size bag.
Yeah. Nismo rice.
Regardless of size. Sorry, regardless of class, same size bag.
It's a lot of rice. Did you think they just keep it as a trophy and just put it in the trophy cabinet in Yokohama, or do you think they actually eat the rice? Because surely it's going to go a bit.
No, if it's properly dried, it'll just.
Well, it's only in a wicker basket. It's quite a nice looking thing. I mean, it's kind of got that rustic Japanese charm to it. But I mean, literally, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, there's very few things you can do with rice other than eat it.
I think you can turn it into sake, can't you?
Ooh, there's an idea. Mr. Orange Jacket presents another one.
Rice pudding.
Nice biryani.
Oh yes. Sushi rice.
Yep. Oh, look,
a musical shaker. It's good work there from Aid. Yeah, you could put it into like an old bottle and shake it. Yeah, musical shaker. Pringles, you put it into a Pringles can. There you go. Make a little musical instrument out of it. You could put a couple of bits in your salt to keep it dry. That's what they always did in the old fish and chip shop.
We should write a book. We should write a book of things to do with rice other than eat it.
Might not be very long.
It'd be more of a pamphlet. An advisory pamphlet.
Matthew Clark says, won't bugs get into the rice if you leave it over time? Yeah, that's absolutely what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Bugs will breed.
Yeah.
Feel like a fool with bugs breeding in your rice, wouldn't you?
Parappa97 says he's having sushi for dinner. I'm jealous. Oh, scratch card. Best performance.
500,000 yen. Pop that into xe.com.
That is probably less than it was last time we talked about it. But yeah, 500,000 yen for some beers to go with the rice and the sake. Ronnie Quintarelli, really, actually, I think Ronnie should take that because that was a staggeringly good lap. Or actually, they should just give it to Michelin for producing staggeringly good tyres. Because we saw that performance. Now let's see how they're going to manage the. Oh, did you see that? Yeah, the reigning champions have tried to lift the rice. They failed. Well, there you go. Apparently, I'm not sure how true this is. You eat the rice or you're against the harmony of the land. Well, I'd eat the rice.
Yeah,
I like rice.
I'd eat the rice.
Nick Cassidy's getting nervous now. He's won the championship. He now realises he's got to have to do the champagne spraying. Except it's not champagne, it's sake. And, oh, they look confused. What now? Where's our alcohol? As they're saying to each other.
No, there's still a photographer going, lift the trophies up.
Yes, lift the trophy. They really don't look very enthusiastic about doing it again.
Not again. It's all right for the third place, guys, because there's only weighs.
That's Ronnie's polite smile, look. Oh, that's the real smile.
There we go.
Nick Cassidy definitely now looking nervous. Suge Matsuda, Ronnie Quintarelli, probably one of the strongest lineups in driver lineups and one of the most stable ones in motor racing.
Very much so.
That's £3,338.21 in English money for that scratch card. Though by the time I said that, it'd probably gone down a little bit further. Here comes the sparkling starting. Oh, and he went too early. And Cassidy is spraying. He's happy. He's got it right. It was actually Ronnie Quintarelli he went too soon, or Sugio.
It was Sugo that he definitely went early.
Yeah. And then there's Cassidy getting sprayed in it. He's going to be watching this clip back. It's the first time he's not had a champagne disaster on the podium, and he's ended up all over him, all in the face. Now we're going to get another interview. We're going to get Bando-san. Usually at the end of the season race here, you normally do get some weirdness. Their rice now is going to be all wet with that sake, so is it not now going to start to like rot? Yeah.
But they have to eat it or else they'll lose the harmony of the land.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is Nick Cassidy, and he's still getting champagned on this. He's now nearly pushing away Hirakawa. He's absolutely soaked, isn't he?
Good, he deserves it. Done well.
Jan's going to be complaining that he smells on the way home, isn't he? Or if it's Jan's car, he won't let him in it. Jan's quite fussy about his car cleanliness. He'll just leave him.
And he'll have one of those Mardenborough moments where he's like, no, really, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
No, don't just put a towel on the seat, you're not getting in.
He might not let him back in the flat.
I wouldn't.
He's still on the podium. They've left their rice behind. Ronnie gives away the Nismo flag. We might have to give away some Nismo flags here on Nismo TV. Probably some sort of competition or something. Well, here we go. Race wrap up. And no, that's not this race. That's the beginning of this season. The new cars were introduced. And they started racing. Around various tracks. Suzuka included. Jensen Button. Lots of cars in Thailand, and they're playing these in all the wrong order. But it's been a great season's racing, and there's been some action, and some accidents, and some disasters. But it's been fantastic entertainment all the way through the year here on Nismo TV from Fuji Speedway, where people have flags. We agree with that sentiment. There's been Nissans, Lexuses, Toyotas.
Small
great
stuffed animals.
girls who probably get cold in the winter dressed like that. The reigning champions lost their right to the number 1. A man looked confused. Another man looked concerned. Another man waved his hand. And they raced. It was close. Man pointed. And there was another race started. Too early for the donuts there for the 86. And the champions win again. But the battles went throughout the year, throughout the classes. You're seeing the best of the season. James Rossiter proved to be quite a spicy driver on track. That was probably the best finish. I'd forgotten that. The S-Road Mola GTR versus the Saab. The first double victory, GT300, GT500 for the Arta team. A huge accident for that. Ronnie Quintarelli got happy and pointed. The Leon car. Some other people pointed. Thailand went well. They got a drone. Hatsune Miku. She looked good after her spa derangement. But the champions were Lexus after a final victory for Nissan here on Nismo TV. It's been great having you taking that championship ride through it with us all the way through the season. And I've been Sam Collins all year.
Thank you very much, folks. Thanks for having me. I've been Rob Bath. Thank you, Sam.
And thanks also to Dakota Jane, to Struan Moore, to
Charlie Butler Henderson,
and Lee O'Gorman, who joined us through the year as well. But most of all, thanks to all of you who joined us in the chat and hit liked and hit subscribe and left all the chat in the comments. We love to see that going. My chat battery is down to 1%, so that's a good time to sign off for 2017, but not quite, because in 2 weeks it's time for the Nismo Festival. So hit subscribed. So stay tuned, and we're going to bring you some of the best racing of the year in a couple of weeks.